From the high plains of the Midwest, I bid you good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever your time zone might be. My nod to the late and great Art Bell. I'm Keith Sharp.
And I'm G. Drussel.
And we welcome you to Life After Life, a paranormal webcast where we talk about the paranormal, UFOs, or the unexplained. And the biggest question of them all, what happens when we die? Stay tuned. Hey, hello everybody. Did you miss us?
I miss us.
Garrett missed us. All right, so let's see. We got 7. Looks like watching right now. All right, this shout out will be quick. Mona, hello. Hey Garrett,
Dude,
hello.
I'm pretty sure that Mona was the one that first mentioned this like months and months ago, like early on.
Oh yeah,
Pass.
she did. She did. And Patrick, how you doing? Glam Van, hey, how is you? Randy, Undercover 00. I like that. That's actually a capacitor on a guitar. 0047.
Oh really?
Yep. Okay. So if you're wondering last week what happened with the family emergency is actually Pam's father, my father-in-law. Pam had went to a
Poppy.
Yeah, who we call Poppy. And Pam went to a convention, left town, and then all of a sudden he starts having problems. And I take his blood pressure. It's a little high, but the thing that concerned us the most was his pulse rate was 39.
Dude, I came over for the show and I was telling Cass this later. I walk upstairs and you come up. I think you're in your Hawaiian shirt. And you're like, man, Poppy's not feeling well. I think his what'd you say, his heart rate?
Heart rate was too low.
39.
39.
I like took out my headphones and I was like, have you called Pam?
Yeah.
He's like, well, she's at a nursing conference.
I know. So this is the worst time for Pam to be gone.
Yeah.
So anyway, I called Pam, told her about it, and he grudgingly went to the ER with me, and
I was happy he did.
Yeah, and
Me too.
Yeah. And then Pam,
I actually heard Pam when you were talking to her. I heard her through the phone saying, "Yeah, he needs to go to the ER. Go down there and take him."
He does, but he's doing okay.
Yeah,
We came back that night. Pam came in town. She relieved me. I came back home, and they released him. However, he's gonna get a pacemaker. Pam, is that right?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah, that's scary. Just because of what happened to my mom. But let's hope that doesn't happen.
Well, let's clarify that statement for our viewers.
Oh, yeah. My mom had a pacemaker put in, and then she had a stroke on the way home from the hospital. Bad stroke. And I guess some clots had got on the leads of the pacemaker, which they say sometimes happens, and had a stroke in the car with my sister.
Aunt Debbie was?
Yeah, she was driving, and she called me like, I think Mom's having a stroke, and I could hear her in the back kind of not making any sense.
Right.
So luckily they got her to the ER, but the TCP shot, or I think that's what it's called, just didn't work.
TPA.
Right.
And the shot didn't work. And so now she's in a nursing center. But now you know my whole story. But anyway, how you guys been doing? Say hello to me in the chat again. Now I'm just looking at the chat.
Dude, last show was Military Medium.
Yeah, that was good.
That guy.
Yeah, it was good.
He's something else, isn't he?
Yeah, he's wanting to do an investigation.
Yeah, hotel.
We should have him fly down here and do the Skirvin.
That'd be cool. And the retirement assistance wherever Pam works. Whatever we call it. I don't want to call it.
The
what is it called?
An assisted living.
Yes.
Assisted living.
We need to do
it's
that
not a
too.
Nursing home.
Hey, I was going through the gram.
Yeah, it's not a nursing home. It's a community.
I got to shoot out for that.
I was going through the Instagram and I came across those videos yesterday. There's some compelling videos, dude.
Yeah,
they are.
Like the sugar thing just flies
off. The microwave goes on.
Hey, on the gram, I had some people trying to, debunk it. They're like, well, this thing over here is vibrating. I was like, dude, it flew off.
Well, what about the microwave coming on? It wasn't plugged in.
The door's open. It's just
yeah, that's too weird.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about the Dyatlov.
Speaking of weird,
Dyatlov.
God, this case is unbelievable.
I know. It's funny because we say that all the time about, this is crazy, but no, this one is
like legitimately.
Yeah,
crazy.
I'm sincerely. This is nuts. This is nuts.
Case closed. It was aliens.
Okay. Good night, everybody. No.
Thank you for watching.
So Garrett's kind of spearheading this a bit.
Well, and then it was crazy because that was the plan, and then the first time I talk to you about it, all of a sudden you're like, dude, I've got like 7 pages of notes. So you started kind of getting into it as well.
I did.
I know Larry did.
Yeah.
Big time. And it sounds like from what people were saying is, like Patrick McClure was saying, he read it this week. So for people that are just reading it, it's absolutely absurd.
It is. It is the weirdest case I've ever, because there's so many theories, but nothing really works.
Well, we said early on, after we did like a line of like kind of historic cases, we're like, hey, we're going to be more relevant with our shows and this and that. But this one, it's so intriguing, right? That it's kind of timeless.
Yeah.
Because they just reopened the investigation, 2019? Something like that?
Yeah, a few years ago, and they kept it sealed we're kind of giving away the whole show.
No, we're not. No, not at
all. But the Russians kept it sealed till 1970, closed it in 3 weeks. So see, I kind of got, at the end of the show, I'll kind of tell you what I thought.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
What I think. So do you want to kind of go over a brief history? Do you want this, or what do you want?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Here's 6 pages.
No, it's really good stuff, though. We already went over it. It was awesome.
No, just give you an idea what's going on. So in January 1959, 10 experienced hikers, 9 students from the Ural Polytechnical Institute, along with 1 older ski instructor, set out to conquer the Otorten Mountain, a peak in the northern portion of the mountain range. They began their journey by train, traveling to the Soviet city of Ivdel. There, they boarded a bus that took them to Vizhay. From there, I'm probably just brutally.
You sound like you spoke Russian before. So.
I don't know. No, I have not. I'm brutalizing this.
I think that was sarcasm, babe.
I think he was saying I'm a communist. Like,
oh my God. Continue.
Igor. From there, they took a truck even further into the frigid forest, arriving in an area known only to local loggers as Sector 41. From there, a local logger led the intrepid group to an abandoned geological site known as Nord 2, and that's Nord, where they made a camp for day. There, in the last bit of truly settled territory, they would come across 4 days. One of the hikers, Yuri Yudin, fell ill. Okay, now Yuri, he's the guy.
He lived.
Yeah, he was. There's a theory about him knowing what was going to happen, and that's why he backed out. But this guy got sick. He was supposed to go with them on the trip.
Right.
He said as his joints raking, he just didn't think he could make it through the treacherous mountainside.
Right.
And they call him a whiny baby, but he didn't go. So over the course of the following day, Yudin took it easy, collecting rock samples for Institute of Mining back at Sverdlovsk, hoping his illness was nothing but a temporary setback. The following day, however, Yudin acknowledged that his health wouldn't allow him to continue the trip, so he parted ways with the 9 remaining hikers as they set off on their way. That was the last time Yudin would see any of his friends alive. The remaining 9 hikers, led by experienced mountaineer Igor Dyatlov, set out. Did you like that?
That was really good.
Set out on the trip, and according to photographs and journal entries discovered later, were in high spirits despite some nasty weather, with difficulty covering miles through the deep snow. They snapped photographs along the way, most of which looked like they could have been taken by any group of college kids on such a wilderness adventure. Then on February 1st, the 10th day of the hike, Dyatlov's party stopped and made camp on the eastern ridge of a mountain known only as Height 1079. And they wondered why he did that. Why you make a tent on the slope of a mountain.
Right.
According to some reports, they found their way there as a result of getting lost due to low visibility caused by the winter weather, and for some reason chose to establish their camp on the slope of a mountain. The area's indigenous population, a tribe that called themselves the Mansi, have a different name for the mountain. They call it Holotachel Mountain of the Dead.
Yes.
Mountain of the Dead. Had they walked only about a mile farther, they would have found flatter ground and more natural protection from the elements. Why Dyatlov chose that area remains a mystery. Some contend that he didn't want to sacrifice the altitude so that they could begin the next morning with a downhill hike. Okay, get it.
Yeah.
Others say he may have wanted to practice mountain slope camping, which, why would you do that?
Yeah, so I think like on that specific day.
Extreme camping.
Yeah, extreme.
Yeah.
No, I think on that day, the wind was so bad and the visibility was so bad, they were only moving like a mile a day. So I don't think he probably used that day to practice.
Yeah. I don't think he did either. In any event, that decision may have cost the entire party their lives. Before the sun rose again over the Ural Mountains, all 9 members of Dyatlov's party were dead. Objectively, the deaths of 9 adventurers on a frigid, snow-covered mountainside in Russia may sound tragic, but it's not unusual. These type of journeys are inherently dangerous, which one could contend is why they offer such a lure. But it wasn't that the hikers all died that earned Dyatlov's incident its place amongst the greatest mysteries of the Soviet era. It's how they died that continues to prompt new theories to this day. The bodies of the Dyatlov party weren't discovered until weeks later. Once relatives begin to worry, they notify I will send a telegram, you know, in a few days. Give us, you know, give us some time.
Yeah.
So when they didn't, for the first about a week, they weren't worried because they thought he said he may be late, whatever. But then when it just, you know, 2 weeks pass and they're like, okay, we need
Something's
to start.
definitely not right here.
So when the relatives begin to worry, they notified Soviet authorities who mounted a search and rescue operation on February 26th. That's 3 weeks. Wow. They soon found the climbers' abandoned tent still secured to the side of the mountain slope. How do you secure a tent to a mountain slope?
There's a way.
Like a big pick or something?
Probably. Yep.
Investigators immediately noted that the tent had been cut open from the inside, with 9 distinct sets of tracks leading out of the tent from the open hole. Some of the tracks were even barefoot, indicating that Dyatlov's party fled the tent in a panic, with many leaving their jackets, gloves, and even boots behind. Some suggested that the tent may have caught on fire, prompting a rapid escape, but no signs of fire were found. The investigators then followed the tracks, leaving the tent down the mountain slope and into the nearby forest. About a third of the way down the slope, investigators noted the footprints disappeared, which they attributed to snowfall following the incident. About a mile from the tent, they found the remains of an improvised campfire and the first 2 bodies. They were wearing only their underwear, with nothing on their feet. A nearby tree had a number of branches broken, some fairly high up the trunk, leading some to speculate that one of the 2 may have attempted to climb the tree to escape something below or to gain a higher vantage point, like the Avalanche or Yeti.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Soon, 3 or more bodies were found at different locations between that impromptu camp and their tent. These bodies, which include Dyatlov, appeared to be headed back toward the tent they had fled. Unlike the first 2, who appeared to have simply died in hypothermia due to exposure to the elements, these bodies were in far worse condition. Rusum Slabden, for instance, was found with a fractured skull, though the coroner that examined him contended that the injuries would not have been fatal. Instead, it seemed likely that the injury had occurred prior to him succumbing to hypothermia. That's weird. The 4 other bodies were not discovered until nearly 2 months later, well into the spring, after nearly a dozen feet of snow had melted. These bodies were discovered in a gully about 100 feet from the impromptu camp. Initially, was it a creek? Yeah, that's what I read. It was that they found the bodies like laying in a creek.
Right.
Bodies didn't appear to have suffered much in the way of trauma, and speculation was that they too had simply died from the cold. That is, until the autopsies were conducted. Right. That's where it gets weird. All 4 of the bodies,
really weird.
Yeah, all 4 of the bodies showed signs of extremely traumatic deaths. Nicholas Thibault Briganello, like Rusum Slobden, had a fractured skull. Alexander Zolotarev and Ludmila Dumanina, Luda, we'll call her Luda because that's what they called her, had their ribs either broken or crushed inward. Dubanina's tongue had been removed from her mouth, while the other 2 were missing their eyes. According to one of the doctors examining the bodies, the force exerted on Zolotov's rib cage would have been equal to that of a car crash. This might suggest an avalanche was the culprit, but there were no signs of avalanche elsewhere on the slope. The tent remained in place and the snowfall appeared natural. Even stranger, these 4 dead hikers were found far better equipped than their peers. Some of them were found wearing the clothes of the other hikers, with one using spare clothing to wrap their feet and create makeshift shoes. If that doesn't seem strange enough, testing conducted at the site and again during the autopsy revealed that the clothing these 4 were wearing was radioactive. Now that's weird.
That is weird.
Soon, local reports of lights in the sky around the area of Dyatlov's party demise were finding their way to the investigators, who, under orders from the Kremlin, promptly sealed the case files and declared the investigation closed. Closed. Officially, they only acknowledged that the party had been killed. by an unknown compelling force, which the hikers were unable to overcome. You think? According to statements made by investigators at the scene, once they were prompted to check their Geiger counters registered I'm going to need to slow down. According to the statement made by the investigators at the scene, once they were prompted to check their Geiger counters, they registered very extremely high levels of radiation in the area. Also, one of the campers' friends reportedly claimed that their bodies were deeply tanned at their funeral. Another group of campers located some 30 miles from Dyatlov's party on the same night reported a shining circular body flying over the village from the southwest to northeast. The shining disk was practically the size of a full moon, a blue-white light surrounded by a blue halo. The halo flashed brightly like the flashes of distant lightning. When the body disappeared behind the horizon, the sky lit up in the place for a few more minutes, or lit up the place for a few more minutes. The lead investigator on the case, Lev Ivanov, had even gone on record to say that he does not agree with the formal conclusion of the Soviet Union that the incident was simply an avalanche. I suspected at the time, and almost sure now, that these bright flying spheres had a direct connection to the group's death, he told a newspaper Leninsky put years later. That doesn't make any sense. Since then, everything from the mountain curses to UFOs have been floating as potential explanations. Some believe the Dyatlov party encountered a UFO. Others contend that they were attacked by the abominable snowman. Many others contend that the Soviet government behavior following the incident, along with reports of lights in the sky, suggests some sort of nuclear weapon test gone terribly wrong. A nuclear-powered cruise missile, not unlike those being tested by the Russian government today, could potentially be responsible for irradiating a swath of forest and sending a group of hikers into a frenzied panic. The Russian government had recently reopened its investigation into the fate of the Dyatlov party, though its statements have made it clear that the intent is to prove that the deaths were caused by an avalanche rather than to unearth any new evidence. This has prompted some to suggest that the cover-up, for whatever reason, remains ongoing. Thank you very much.
Yeah, dude. Whew. Do the applause. That's impressive. Honestly, you did way better with those difficult names than I was expecting.
I was just
impressed.
making it work.
I'm impressed.
They'll never know, right? Okay, so let's talk about some of this stuff, man. What?
Mona.
What did Mona say? Thank you very much. So should we go over theories?
Yeah, definitely.
And if you guys have any ideas too, if some of you guys are familiar with this case, let us know what you think. I'd be interested to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's many, and like I said, this is one of these cases. I know Garrett and I always say, God, this is the weirdest case ever, but this is the weirdest case ever.
It is, yeah.
So which theory would you like to talk about first? Why don't we talk about the most simple one, the avalanche?
Okay, well, here's what's great is like the person I was getting a lot of information from, her name is Ashley Flowers. Has a great show, but she was saying that there are up to 75 theories that the government was.
And don't worry, we're not going over 75 theories.
No. But that's like the government, the Russian government had to cut that down. They had to narrow it down from 75 theories to 3 that they were going to investigate. And like you said, really what they wanted to do is come to the conclusion that it was an avalanche.
Right. And
case closed.
Hypothermia.
And hypothermia, right.
Yeah.
And I mean, what do you think on the avalanche side of things?
I don't think it was, because they said the searchers, for me, the research I did, the guys who went looking for them, search party, said there was no signs of an avalanche. And also they were on a 30-degree slope, they said, so it really wouldn't have been as devastating to them as what, I guess a steeper, a whole bunch of snow coming on.
Yeah. When you think about it, the tent, right? The picture of the tent whenever they found it, there's just some snow on it. Like, I feel like if it was an avalanche, it would have taken them a lot longer to find that tent, and it wouldn't just have like a little bit. Well,
of snow absolutely. On it, right? I mean, and that's why I think they came to that conclusion, because the tents, the tent would have been buried in snow.
Right. Yeah. But
it wasn't. It was collapsed in the middle. But I mean, it was still existing, and there was, a little bit of snow on it, but nothing like an avalanche of snow.
And you guys can fact check this if you want, but I'm pretty sure there hasn't been an avalanche reported in that area in the last 60 years.
Wow.
So now there is such thing called a slab avalanche, which is now what they're turning to. They're saying what happens is if there's a lot of wind, which we'll talk about, We're from Oklahoma, guys. Like we're used to it.
We know about wind.
Yeah. And that's why we always wear hats, right?
Yeah.
But so what can happen is with this really heavy wind and snow flurries is that essentially because we're talking about sub 30-degree temperatures.
Yep.
But that a block can form of snow that can shift onto something, right?
Mhm.
But then again, like with that, I just feel like that there would be a lot more snow on the tent itself, and then there would also be signs of that all the way around.
Well,
the
it wouldn't
camp.
explain too is you have, 3 bodies here.
Yeah,
and then,
yeah.
bodies over here, bodies over here.
Right. Some with injuries like no eyes or tongues,
Yeah.
and some like your chest is crushed.
Right.
Right. So like that's what gets me with this case is for every theory, there's like a counter theory, right? Because everybody were in different places under different circumstances with different injuries. So like not one theory essentially like really fits to this, especially the avalanche one.
Yeah. So I say,
Yep.
with the avalanche.
No, I heard another one, man. Just last part of this about the avalanche that Igor, who was like leading this expedition, and I think it's important to also note that all of these people were high level hikers and survivalists.
Yep.
Like this, I mean,
they were level 3.
yeah, which is pretty high. They've had a lot of
Yeah.
training and everything. But that an avalanche has a distinct sound as it comes down and starts crashing. Right. And so
Which came into play because they said something scared them enough
right
to all get out of the tent immediately.
Right.
And that's another thing I can't figure out is like there's a door, there's that flap on the front.
Yeah.
Why didn't they go through there? Why did they cut the tent? It's
Right.
almost like something's blocking, so
Yeah.
they couldn't get out.
See, and I actually think that the guy, and I'm just gonna call him Sasha. So Sasha was like that late 30s last minute add-on, right? Who was
Yeah.
like, oh, I was going on this expedition, and then my team flaked out at the last second. Can I please go with you, college students? Weird, right?
Was he the older guy?
Yeah, covered in tattoos, like
Yeah.
what, which mean got.
So are you.
I know, but remember when we said that something about tattoos and like the chat started going crazy?
I got
Okay.
you.
No,
Everybody in this room has tattoos.
yeah,
so.
no, but I think it's important. Like, I have Russian friends. Like I told you, I was actually talking to one earlier. Like tattoos they've been around in that culture for a very long time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But a lot of people speculate he was there for other reasons. But I believe that he actually came out of the tent first. So I believe he came out of the front of the tent and took a picture of something, and then the others essentially cut through and fucking ran out.
Maybe.
So I don't know if it was a sound. Does that make sense?
Yeah. But something had to scare them, get them out of that tent.
Something, yeah. Actually, it may have been a sound. It could have been those damn lights, dude.
Yeah. Well, that's the other theory
Right.
about there's a UFO theory.
Let's do that one last.
Okay.
Because I think that another one was infighting. Murder.
Yeah, homicide.
Homicide.
Which at first I thought maybe, because I thought, if someone was at the front of if they heard someone coming, maybe they thought they could sneak out the side of the tent. I don't
Right,
know.
yeah,
But
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
you sneak out the rear of the tent instead.
Yeah.
But I mean, 9 people coming out and be like, but
Well, let's talk about why that would even be on the table though. Because one of the victims has, what did you call it earlier? Boxer knuckles.
boxer knuckles.
It
yeah.
looks like as if they have been in a fist fight, right? Like a significant fist fight.
Right.
Where they're fighting for their lives, where another victim has a broken nose.
Mm-hmm.
So you would think that they were fighting each other, but yet the journals, for the most part, all speak of them having a pretty damn good time. I mean, there was talk that there was some infighting. Like I know at one point there was a rip in the tent, and then they're just trying to decide, hey, we can't eat dinner till somebody fixes it. And Luda got mad and storms off into a corner, and everybody's pissed off, right? But by
when did that happen?
that was after they kind of had set off, maybe like a couple days before.
Okay.
So there could have been a fight of some sort, which isn't like
Well, I know there was some tension between Igor and someone else.
right.
Yeah.
But I mean, dude, we're talking about murdering
But-
8 people.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I see if 2 people were mad and they got in a fist fight, they break it up. I mean, all of them not get into a bar brawl and kill each other.
You can make that into a funny dark comedy.
Yeah.
That's a funny take on this case.
Quit laughing. It's serious.
I'm
Remember,
sorry, but no,
we're gonna get heat for that.
I absolutely don't think it's homicide unless at the hands of the government.
Well, and there's a.
I said it.
Well, I know there's an author who
Putin's coming for me.
she believes that like secret Russian spies had intercepted them out there and killed them all. But
Like, did Sasha know something?
Well, I don't know. I mean, no one knows. That's the thing,
right? Because that is something like they said that. Which, if you ever watched like or seen like somebody from this era that had been in like a Russian prison, they have a ton of tats.
Yeah.
Okay. But he had a really significant one where it's just a ton of letters that meant nothing to any known language. So, and that was noted by people that knew who he was. And so there have been theories that he was either a part of the KGB or was working for maybe even the CIA. But why the hell would he?
But why would he kill him? And what secrets would those hikers have?
Well, no, I'm thinking like if we were going to go down that path, it would have to be a scenario where Sasha actually has the information and he's trying to get out to the, past them. He wants to be out where the Mansi tribe's living so that they don't kill his ass for it, right?
Okay.
And they intercepted him. But that goes to your point earlier, like, why would they not wait for him to come back or something? Or why wouldn't they follow him out there and wait for the other hiker? You know what I'm saying? Like, to make it this huge debacle, because that's what it would be, was a hit gone wrong. And I just can't like wrap my head around that. I can't.
Yeah, I can't either. I can't, like I said, this author really thinks it's like a KGB Soviets that killed all of them.
Well, and I've heard people say, like in Russian special forces, fighting's huge in that culture, is that they were taught to break necks and even kill people by compressing their chest and breaking their ribs, right? I've heard that. It's called samba and like all sorts of things. But still, you wouldn't kill like 3 or 4 of them with samba and then let the other ones just die of hypothermia under a tree. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't square up. So that lady can take her book and put it on the shelf.
Yeah, I thought about contacting her.
I would love. No, I should
have her on the show.
I was being funny. Okay.
No. I mean, she's really knowledgeable, more so than you and me.
Definitely. Yeah, you can take your book off the shelf and I'll read it. I'm sorry.
No.
I would love to see how she came to that conclusion to the point where she's willing to write a book about it.
Yeah, I saw her interviewed and I almost think she almost thought it was kind of ridiculous as well.
Right.
And she didn't really go into a whole lot of detail. It was just like she just had this guess maybe this happened, but had no answers to why they would have killed him.
Yeah. Yeah, because Sasha's like background is kind of hard to track. Like we know that he was in the Red Army for 4 years. And
did they not investigate him?
They did. Yeah.
Thoroughly?
As thoroughly as I think the government would probably allow for them to. I know he wasn't going by his real name. His real name was like Alexander or something, but he went by Sasha. Like I said, he was just kind of a drifter. After World War II, he kind of just went off and did his own thing and traveled around. So it is kind of weird that he like.
So did he go to the same? Because these all from a school.
He met them at that station before they left on that final day, essentially.
Oh,
because I guess that's like a hub. Like if you like go to Yosemite, there's a place where everybody kind of meets and they go out.
So it's like Starbucks.
It's like the Starbucks for 1959 expeditionists.
So he met these people who are they called it Category 3.
Right.
Okay, and I tried to look up the categories and I couldn't find any categories.
Yeah, I just know that it's very like they should have gone on this expedition and made it back.
Would you let let's say you're with a group of your say West Point, say a bunch of you West Point guys, we're gonna go hiking, and some guy just comes out of nowhere and says, "Hey, can I go with you?"
No, yeah, and I asked
my
friend
because to me that's weird.
We were gonna bring my friend on who writes for Outdoor, and
how come he didn't come on?
Because man, it's not really like up his alley, like avalanches and like dead hiker. You know what I'm saying? He's an outdoorsman, right? And I actually asked him about that because I was really going down that rabbit hole early with Sasha, and I was like, hey, when you're going, because he climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, and because dude, all of a sudden, if you have to try to get that guy out like if they don't know what the hell they're doing, they can't pull their weight.
Right.
I think that's why there was some infighting within the expedition, is because when you're on a team and you're doing something and it gets shitty, right? Somebody's not going to pull their weight. And so I think that they were seasoned enough to know. And so he obviously had to tell them something about himself. Maybe it's one of those cases there where not that many people were going to go on this expedition, right? Like if you were willing to go on it, you knew about it.
Yeah.
And I actually think he did have prior knowledge of the Mansi tribe and the specific mountain they were going towards as well. So
Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking of some guy just showed up.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you said, if he, I mean,
Me,
even if he came and said, "Hey, I'm an experienced hiker," blah blah blah,
Right,
you don't
yeah.
really, you can't vet him at all.
right?
And
yeah.
like you said, he could slow you guys down. He could get hurt. Someone could get hurt.
I think like in anything though, there's probably like a lot you can tell about somebody. Like I know that's how it is for me, like in like teaching with like sport, right? Like you can have a conversation with somebody and be like, okay, like, you know, it's probably the same way of like being a nurse. Like, you know, in about 5 minutes, you're like, okay, this is a really awesome nurse, right?
Mhm.
And so I'm sure there was a little bit of that. And I bet with his knowledge, they allowed him to come on. The idea of the like the KGB intercepting him or the CIA being in that location to me is just so far-fetched.
Yeah, I totally agree. I
Yeah.
don't see any point.
I don't see a point.
I don't, you know, and why choose that place? I mean, because it's treacherous up there. And so even if you sent hitman, I guess what you'd call them, I mean, they would have to get there first, right? Or they'd have to lower them from helicopter. You know,
Well, and the thing is,
hey,
like,
maybe that's what it was. I heard the helicopter.
yeah. Hey, but if you go through all that trouble, why not just get rid of the damn bodies, load them up on the helicopter,
Yeah.
like, get them out of there, right? Like,
Well, even easier. Why don't you just you have your Russian rifle, you shoot all of them in the head and done.
yeah,
Instead of all this
murdered.
crushed chest and all that
Yeah.
other
So
stuff.
yeah, it always goes back to that though, doesn't it? The
Yeah.
autopsies.
Yep.
What happened to these people is A, incomprehensible. And B, it's so diverse that not one theory necessarily sticks with it until the theory we talked about last. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
So should we show them some of the injuries? We're not going to show you there is morgue bodies, but we decided after the helter skelter thing, we got scolded for that. We're just going to show you anatomical.
Keith actually made this. So
Okay.
Pamela, did you know this is what Keith's doing in his free time? Look what he did. He made that.
Are they stick figures?
Oh, you haven't seen it yet.
She's got the 20-second delay.
Good.
He's so lying.
My joke sucks then.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Keith making this? I can.
Oh, I could do that. No, you get anatomical figures.
Yeah.
Put them in a program, and you put
Got
circles
it.
and numbers on them. Some.
Yeah.
Okay, this is Yuri. Is it Yuri Doroshenko?
Just call him Yuri. He's only Yuri.
Okay, so number one, in the hair of the deceased, experts found particles of moss, pine needles. Hair is burned on the right side of the head. That's kind of weird. The particle stuff and pine needles, well, you're going to expect to find out. Why is the right side of the head burned? Or the hair? Ear, nose, and lips are covered with blood. Swollen upper lip with dark red hemorrhage. Right cheek, soft tissue covered with gray foam, gray liquid coming from his open mouth. Most apparent cause is pulmonary edema. Ear auricles in bluish red color, and the right earlobe and tagus dense patches of brown red color. So, Pam, would you turn that phone off?
Jesus, we're trying to do a show.
Do a show here. The inner surface of the right shoulder has 2 abrasions, 2 times 1.5 centimeters with no bleeding and tissue, 2 cuts on the skin. Right armpit has a bruise of 2 times 1.5 centimeter. Brown red bruises with a size 4 times 1 centimeter, 2.5 times 1.5, and then 5 times 5 centimeters in the upper third of the right forearm. Swelling and small abrasions in the rear of the right hand, soft tissue. Bruise with bleeding into the underlying soft tissue on the back of the right hand corresponding to the second metacarpal bone. The soft tissue of both hands and fingertips are especially dark purple. All fingers and toes are severely frostbitten. If Yuri Dorishkomo would have survived, he would have required amputation of all his toes and fingers. On the inner surface of the left shoulder and the lower third abrasion had brown, red in color. On the inner surface of the left elbow, minor abrasions, brownish red color. On the inner surface of the left forearm, there is a surface skin wound covered with dry blood. Similar bruises and pale red color on the shins of both legs. And that's all the injuries. I mean, you can look at all these injuries on him. This is a lot of injuries just for...
Do you want to talk about them?
Yeah, we can. I mean...
I think we have to.
Okay, yeah, the weirdest thing for me is the hair burned.
Mhm.
Okay, now you know a little bit more about this than I do, I think. Was this the group that was close to their fire?
So this is Yuri and Georgi.
Yuri,
We'll call him Yuri and Georgi.
You know, there's two people named Yuri, by the way.
Yeah, but Yuri didn't go on. The first Yuri didn't go on the. He left. Remember, he lived. Yuri Yedin.
Well, I've got these. Yeah, these are. There must be three.
Oh, dude, there's like 400 million Yuris in Russia. Okay, so
Yeah.
anyways, Yuri and Georgi were found, yes, by the campfire. Another weird thing is there was some like damage in the trees. I think the lowest branch that they were found under was like 15 feet high, and I was telling you this before the show. I felt like it was weird. Like, okay, they were obviously trying to climb up that tree for something. The inside of their hands, their hands are all screwed up from trying to climb. They're obviously freezing to death, trying to climb up this damn tree to survive something. The head, maybe they fell into the fire because they were trying to make a makeshift fire.
Right.
I could see that happening. Maybe they also, I mean, dude, there's burn marks on his shins. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's bilateral, so that's weird too. And almost if you look like at number 7, number 12, you know, boom, boom,
Right.
And then 13, so that one abrasion there, and 14, and then the back one, and then that's weird.
Well, what's weird about it is it is actually kind of like in line with somebody that's so fearful for their life that they're willing to like burn themselves and climb up something to try to escape. Try it.
Here, is this maybe? Can you guys hear me? Can you hear the vocals? Hello. Mona says no, you're not.
I think you just fixed it, dude.
Okay, now I just hit a button.
Hello.
That was it.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
Okay, so what
Hello, everybody.
What a fabulous new operating system.
I was thinking,
no, it is. Well, let me tell
It's
you.
pilot error.
wait.
No, what? Yeah, I think what it is they thought that because what I did is I took me and Garrett off the picture because it was just weird looking. Because you see a cat and then you see Garrett, and that's what happened. So I mean, if you guys want me to leave it on, we can do that.
Hey, I was so hoping it was either the Russian government and or aliens.
Oh, I know.
Damn it.
Okay, Randy says I can. Okay, well, is it because you can? Okay, let me show you guys something. I'm gonna take Garrett off here. Okay, I figured it out. Whenever you, okay, I know what happened, guys. Sorry about that. When I took me and Garrett off, it automatically mutes your mic when you come off of that. So like when you're doing introduction,
Yeah.
they can't hear you
Yeah,
talking.
Thank
Okay,
God.
so we'll leave it on. Sorry about that, you
It's just
guys.
me and the cat.
Okay, so we can't do anything right. Anyway,
It wouldn't be right if we did
Pilot
everything
error.
right.
yeah. So anyway, we were talking about Yuri Kochevichiko. He had bruise around the left temporal bone. Tip of the nose is missing. No traces of blood, meaning it was bitten. Most probably by animal post-mortem. I agree with that. That's I mean, we have to look at possible facts,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Like the eyeballs, the soft stuff,
Yeah.
things like that. Okay, frostbitten ears, very normal. Portion of the epidermis, which is skin, from the right hand is found in the mouth of deceased. That's weird. Okay, yeah, that's a little odd. It'd be like like you're eating your hand or something. Back of the right hand is swollen. Fingers are brownish purple. Okay, that's would be normal for that kind of
for sure.
death.
Yeah.
Tips of the fingers on the right hand are dark brown in color. Minor skin abrasions on soft tissue. Palm of the right hand, bluish red color. Dark brown skin wound with jagged edges at the base of the thumb. That's kind of strange. Yeah, in the middle of the phalanx of the fingers, 4 to 5 cutaneous wounds with hard edge and charred surface. So burning. So, okay, so we want to be realistic as possible. Was this Yuri? Was he there? Was he with the guys who were building the fire? Possibly, because maybe it was a burn from the fire, right?
For sure, they were trying to survive.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make this as factual as we can.
Absolutely.
Okay, detachment of the 2nd centimeter epidermis on the back of his left hand. Okay, that could happen.
Absolutely.
Abrasion and pale red color on the right side of the chest, 7 times 2 centimeter, 2 times 1.2 centimeter.
Wait, did you say 7 times?
No, well, 7
gotcha.
centimeters by 2
Okay.
centimeters. I'm sorry, I should have said by.
Okay. No, you're good.
Pale red abrasions along middle clavicular line at the edge of the rib of the right hypochondrium. Dark red abrasions on the left wrist, back of the left hand is swollen. Pink and brown red bruises to the left buttocks. 3 linear skin lesions with straight edge, sharp corners, depth of 0.3 centimeters on the inner side of the upper third of the thigh. 3 cutaneous wounds with sharp corners in the inner side of the upper third of the left hip. Dark brown abrasion of the front of the right femur and tibia. Dark brown red abrasion on the front inner left thigh. Edema on the left leg, that means swelling or pulling of fluid. Burn in the area sides of 31 by 10 centimeters on the entire outer surface of the leg. Yeah, so we need to.
Dude, I think
on the.
Oh, go ahead.
No, just saying. So again, like we need to know, was he one of the bodies found by the fire?
Well, I think that regardless, that those would be like. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I think that it would be wounds consistent with trying to climb for your life up a tree. Lots of abrasions, lots of fine cuts, and even on the thumb.
Right.
Like the burns trying to survive with a fire. So.
And then the last one, patches in area 10 by 4 centimeters of brown red epidermis peeling, as skin peeling back from the back of the left foot. 2nd toe charred to dark brown color, and tissue is dense to the touch. Okay, so I mean, we got bruises here. We got skin tearings. We have burns. So we can almost kind of explain that if these were the guys found close to the fire, trying to start the fire. And like you said, but if we get into the theory of, well, this is from a tree, then something's chasing them.
Right. Yeah.
You
definitely.
know? And then some people might say, well, what if they saw the snow falling from the avalanche and they're trying to get to higher ground? That's another theory. But again, we don't have any evidence that there was an avalanche,
right?
And that, for that much snow. Now, so right now I'm just kind of saying, okay, these are weird injuries, or they could be explainable. But at some point they were threatened by something.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
So let's go to Igor. Okay, there's Igor. Okay, the deceased has been described as bluish red. He had unbuttoned fur sleeveless vest, outer side blue cotton, inner side dark gray fur, and this belonged to Yudin. Case files say he left the vest to Kotalov, but Yudin himself said in 2008 he gave it to Dorshenko. Did you hear how I said that?
Oh,
I almost sounded like I was Russian. Dorshenko.
Oh my God.
That's pretty good. But okay, so he this goes into where we get into where they actually found clothes from the other people
Yes.
with the other folks, and that's still strange. Anyway, so he said he gave it to another member, not Igor. A blue sweater, long sleeve, red cotton shirt in the breast pocket, 4 pills of streptocide. It's an anti-inflammatory agent used for wound infection. Still in the blister, blue sleeveless cotton single ski pants over his pants, no shoes. That's weird. He had 1 cotton sock on his left foot and 1 woolen sock on his right foot. It's hard to explain this uneven distribution. It could be that the 2 socks on the 1 foot and later took it off, or on 1 foot and later took it off to protect the other bare foot. It might have been someone's sock who simply gave it away to protect a friend from a certain death. So we got a minor, his first wound, number 1, the minor abrasion on the forehead. Okay, that's nothing.
You're on an expedition.
Right. Minor abrasions on the upper eyelids. Okay, still. Brown reddish abrasions above the left eyebrow, minor abrasions on the left cheek, brown red abrasions on both cheeks, dried blood on lips. Lower jaw had a missing incisor. The mucosa was intact that suggested that the tooth was lost long before the final trip. Okay, so
thanks for the info.
Well, that's, we get detailed on the show.
Yeah, we did. No, I mean from the autopsy.
Yeah, I know, right? Bruised knees without bleeding into the underlying tissue. Both ankles had brownish red abrasions, size 1 by 5 centimeters and 3 by 2.5 centimeters of hemorrhage. And the hemorrhage just means blood into the underlying tissue. Single incision 4 by 2 centimeters in the lower third of the right tibia, and that's your lower leg bone. Many small scratches of dark red color on the lower third of the right forearm and palm surface. Purple gray discoloration on the back side of the right hand. Metacarpophalangeal joints. These are, when you say that, that's finger bones, guys. On the right hand had brown red bruises. This is a common injury in hand-to-hand fights. To get a better idea of the injuries, just make a fist. This is the part of the hand which you use to hit someone. Left hand is brown purple color with brownish red bruises, superficial wounds on the 2nd and 5th finger of the left hand, skin wound in the palmar surface. The palmar surface is the palm of your hand, on the 2nd and 5th finger of the left hand. Okay, so looking at this, because I really didn't I didn't really go through, I printed all this out.
Yeah.
But okay, there was a fight somewhere here.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, hey, isn't it not shocking too? Like if we were just to pull up these images that we've looked at so far, like look how symmetrical these injuries are too. It's really kind of weird.
Yeah, they're bilateral. Like if you look down on number, and I've got my glasses on, just can't read it that good.
Well, just the ankles. And the
look
knees.
At the knees.
Yeah,
the knees.
The
ankles. They're kind of bilateral, almost symmetrical.
Right.
11 in the back of the heels here.
Both the hands.
And both the hands. Now that, like every knuckle. Is bruised.
Yeah, fighting for his life.
And the palmar side of his hand, which, like I said, that's the inside of your hand.
Yeah.
Is bruised, which could be if he was making a hard fist.
And it takes a lot to get that like boxer knuckle thing going on. That's crazy.
Okay, so far by going through this for my medical knowledge, and Pam's in the medical knowledge, this looks like a fight.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So far, okay. So Zenedia Komodorova.
That was really good.
What, you want me to say it again?
Yes.
Zenedia Komodorova was found 630 meters from the cedar. Oh, let me get her, you guys. Sorry about that. Right there. Okay. She was face down, heads toward the tent. The skin of the face and the hands is purple red in color. She was better dressed than the bodies under the cedar tree. She had 2 hats, long sleeve undershirt, a sweater, a checkered shirt, and another sweater with torn cuff on the right sleeve. It was unclear whether she cut them, or it was torn by another person. Sweater was inside out, which is not usual for mountaineers when they try to dry clothing by wearing them. Waist down, Zenedo was
unusual.
I'm sorry?
Not unusual.
No, Pam, now you're gonna make me have to go back and read that. Not unusual.
Okay.
Yeah, sweaters were inside out, which is not unusual for mountaineers when they try to dry clothes by wearing them.
Got it.
Gotcha. I'm sorry. I made it sound like it was usual. are unusual.
Forget about it.
Forget about it. Okay, waist down, Zenaida was wearing cotton sport pants, trousers, ski pants, 3 small holes at the bottom of the right trouser leg, and 3 pairs of socks. 2 pairs were thin. Then the third pair was
Damn.
woolen with insoles inside. No footwear. Why would you have all that? No foot.
Yeah.
In her pocket were found 5 rubles and military-style protective mask on the left side of her chest between the top sweater and a checkered shirt underneath. Okay, so her injuries. Dark red abrasions on the right frontal eminence, pale gray area 3 by 2 centimeters above the right eyebrow, dark red abrasion on the upper eyelid, brown red grays on the bridge and tip of the nose, numerous abrasions on the left cheekbone, bruised skin on the right side of the face, brown red abrasions on the back of both hands and the area of the metacarpal phalangeal and interphalangeals. That's just your finger joints, people. Wound with jagged edges and missing skin on the back of the right hand of the base of the third finger, frostbite of the phalanges meaning fingers, a long, bright red bruise, 29 by 6, that's big, 29 by 6 centimeters in the lumbar region on the right side of her torso. The bruise looks like a left, like a, what's that say? Like left from a baton?
Yeah.
Like she was hit with a baton?
Yeah.
Like we hit, okay.
Jesus.
And that's hers. And then it goes about the amount of urine and stuff, which we don't need to know that.
Yeah.
But here's
that's interesting.
But listen to the cause of death what they have for these people. Okay, cause of death: hypothermia due to violent accident. So
yeah, we were talking about that before the show.
In other words, it's like we don't know what happened.
Right.
We're not sure what happened. So far, I'm still going. Garrett was some type of attack. Okay.
Yeah.
That's do what?
Oh, I was reading about that.
Okay, so I'm going so far.
Man, that's a weird wound right above the hip.
Yeah, and they said it looked like a baton. Went like someone hit her with a baton. That's weird.
Look at her hands.
But what about, what do you call those things you use to ski? The ski,
definitely.
Ski poles.
Yeah, dude. Because
Someone...
you see the pictures. There's like
there's a ton of them.
Yeah,
There's a ton of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably pretty important.
Okay, so far, people, my theory is there was some confrontation with somebody, is what it sounded like. Okay. Zenaida Komogorova. God, that was so good,
Well,
Keith.
you just did that one.
I just did that one. I had to say it again, right?
Dude, it was so good.
Okay, Rustin Slobodin.
Rusty.
This is Rusty. Thank you. We'll just call him
Rusty.
Okay, Rustin's body was found 480 meters from the cedar on March 5th, the day after the autopsy of the first 4 bodies, covered with 50 centimeters of snow. Now, these are the ones that they found
in the creek.
Yeah, it was a month, 2 months later, 2
more
months,
than 2
like
months,
that.
around 3 months. Yes.
Okay, well, it said March, and they were searching for them in middle of February, so that wouldn't be 3 months.
They found them in May.
Okay, maybe that's a misprint. Anyway, the day after the autopsy of the first 4 bodies, covered with 50 centimeters of snow, face down, head towards the tent, he was better dressed than the previous found hikers. He wore a long sleeve undershirt, sweater, 2 pairs of pants, 4 pairs of socks, and 1 felt boot on his right foot. His watch stopped at 8:45 a.m. On the chest under the sweater were 2 shoe insoles. In the shirt pocket was 310 rubles and his passport. In other pockets were found a small folding pocket knife, pencil pen, comb, and a plastic sleeve, box of matches with 48 matchsticks, and 1 cotton sock. Okay, if they're trying to kind of stop right there for a minute, if they were, because I remember you saying when they were hastily trying to start a fire,
right?
Would we use the matches?
Yeah, I think that it got kind of crazy when they got out. Personally, we can talk about that in a little bit, but I think that they kind of got separated.
Okay.
I was gonna say this guy's already over a quarter mile away from the others.
And he's more heavily clothed than anybody else.
Yeah, so he only had 1 sock. Is that
no, he had a sock. He had a sock like in his chest.
Okay.
Like pocket. They were talking about everything in his pockets.
Okay, 2 pairs of pants, 4 pairs of socks, and 1 felt boot on his right foot.
So he was better dressed than anybody.
Okay, his autopsy was performed March 8th. Number 1, hemorrhage in the temporalis muscles. That's the temple. You guys know that. Minor brownish red abrasion on the forehead. 2 scratches are 1.5 centimeter long at the distance of 0.3 centimeters between them. I'll go and tell you what the numbers are so you can look at the deal. Number 4, brownish red bruise on the upper eyelid of the right eye with hemorrhage into the underlying tissues. And if you guys, did I tell them hemorrhage just means blood?
Yep.
Under the tissue. Number 5, traces of blood discharged from the nose. Number 6, swelling and a lot of small abrasions on both sides of the face. 7, bruises in the metaphalangeal joints. Again, that's the hand. Similar bruises are common in hand-to-hand fights.
Yeah, I was gonna
Okay,
say,
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Brown cherry. Okay, number 8, brown cherry bruise on the medial aspect of the left arm and left palm. And medial just means towards the middle. Swollen lips. Number 10, bruises on the left tibia. That's your lower leg bone in dimensions of 2.5 by 1.5 centimeter, not shown on the diagram. Epidemis, which is skin, is torn from the right forearm, not shown on the diagram. Number 12, fracture of the frontal bone 6 times 1 centimeter located at 1.5 centimeters.
What number is that one?
Number 12, which it may not be listed on there.
Okay.
But showing okay.
Sorry.
And that's fine. So fractured frontal. So he had some fractured skull.
Okay, that's
as you can see right here.
Yeah. Okay.
So you can see the temporal area that's right here.
Well,
I know you guys can't see me. I'm pointing to this, but that's the temporal area.
it's like
And
the left side of the temple. Yeah.
I see somebody from this.
Right. Oh, oh, crazy. She's saying it
like
this.
a gorilla or something. Yeah. So he's got some fractured
Wow.
skull. It's
What makes you say that?
that's
Mom?
Well, I mean, just looking at the
tell the
picture,
audience what you just told us, honey. I don't think they heard you.
I didn't say anything. I just looking at the image with the numbers at the top where it's got number 1, both sides in the temporal area.
Oh, I see. Yes.
I
yes,
see-
Yes.
I just see somebody like you see in the cartoon or an old movie where, the big guy walks up to somebody and just,
Yep.
does that
Yeah.
with their head,
Yeah.
fist or hands
Yeah.
or whatever. And, like a Michael Myers, Jason
Well, it's
horror
kinda like
flick
what-
where they
yeah,
just kind of
it's kinda
crush
like-
their skull.
It's
you
kind of like
know?
what I said earlier about how it's odd how symmetrical the injuries are.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's the strange thing I was thinking too. And then again, you can see the knuckles, like your fighting knuckles, all number 7, abrasions, bruises. So
Yeah.
okay, so far, Garrett, they were fighting.
Well,
With
it's so crazy how like
were attacked by
inconsistent, like
something.
that. What actually killed them was, but how consistent the injuries are as far as like just being symmetrically. Like if it's on the head, it's on both sides of the head. If it's on the knee, it's on both sides of the knee. If it's on the ankles, it's both sides of the ankle. Freaking weird.
this is and this makes it even more strange to me
Yeah, me
because
too.
I
Yeah.
said I briefly looked over the autopsy report, but now as I'm looking at it, these people were attacked by something.
Right, yeah,
Is
and we're fighting for their lives.
fighting for their lives, absolutely. So we're moving on now to Lydia. Is that what you call her?
Yeah,
Luda.
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 Yeah.
Luda Dubrinia. God, that was good.
That's really good.
Okay. All right. Lydia wore a short sleeve shirt, long sleeve shirt, and 2 sweaters. The brown sweater belonged to Kovinchiko, one of the 2 found beneath the cedar, and lately tested radioactive. Now, that's where it's getting weird. The body was dressed with underwear, long socks, 2 pairs of pants. External pair was badly damaged by fire and subsequently ripped. She also wore a small hat and 2 pairs of warm socks. A 3rd sock was not paired. Lydia, apparently in the last attempt to preserve her feet, took off her sweater and cut it into 2 pieces.
Jesus.
One half she wrapped around her left foot, another half she left or dropped unintentionally on the snow. So these are her injuries. Number 1, soft tissues are missing around the eyes. Eyebrow, nose bridge, and left cheekbone is partially exposed. So that's pretty deep. Number 2, damaged tissue around the left temporal bone, 4 by 4 centimeters. Eye sockets are empty. Eyeballs are missing. Okay. Nose cartilage is broken and flattened. That's number 4. Number 5. And tell me if these are getting off, Garrett, on these.
You're doing great.
They should be all right on the numbers. 5, soft tissue of the upper lip are missing. Teeth and upper jaw is exposed. Number 6, tongue is missing. Ribs 2, 3, 4, and 5 are broken on the right side. 2 fracture lines are visible. Wow. Ribs 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are broken on the left side. 2 fractured lines are visible. Number 9, massive hemorrhaging in the heart's right atrium. So that means she pierced her heart with one of those ribs went through her heart. is what that's saying. Number 10, bruise in the middle left thigh, size 10 by 5 centimeters. That one said it's not shown on there. Okay, now this one's weird. Okay, first of all, I broke a rib. It takes a whole, and
More than once.
more than
Yeah.
more than once.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of force. I didn't get in a fight. I'm embarrassed because I fell.
I remember this is when
and fell on the car frame of an open door. Yeah, so let's not talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay. So okay,
Okay, so her eyes and her tongue.
yes,
are
her
missing.
eyes is missing, her tongue's missing now. Some people would say, okay, that is animals, they will eat the softest tissue
Yeah,
they
of
can
course,
find,
of course.
right?
Yeah.
But
Why not on the others?
man, the tongue missing, the eye, I mean, even eyeballs, I would think, and again, I'm not an expert. I mean, it seems like it'd be really hard for
Predator-
an animal to pop out an eyeball.
Well, and he or she used the word.
Pam,
empty.
you're a country farm girl. Can animals pop out an eyeball and eat it?
Well, I
girl.
mean, yeah, it's possible, but something I would think with the size and the strength to do this kind of damage is just going to eat
Yeah.
the skin off her face and not go right for the eyeballs or right for the tongue.
Well, and aren't predators
And the tongue that's going to take a challenge. You got to get the mouth open. You got to, and to get the tongue out.
Yeah, but aren't predators completely opportunistic? Like if
They are, and I don't think
so
they would.
why would, if you're out there and you're like in that kind of dire environment and you're a
Mhm.
predator,
Mhm.
then you're gonna find a body if it's out there.
Mm.
And so why would you only take that opportunity to
You would eat the whole body. I mean, or you'd have.
if you were into eyes and tongues,
Well-
you would go to all the bodies and get the eyes and
Yeah.
tongues.
Yeah, yeah.
right? Like,
But the
'cause-
thing is, how we know, okay, like say, I think there's wolves in that area, right? But at the same time, there's no bite marks on these people.
Right.
Nope.
Yeah, that's where it gets. Yeah.
Yeah.
No predatory
No collateral
bites.
damage to the
And-
rest of the body.
Yeah.
So-
Doug just said in chat, said when coyotes get to like a deer before he does, they go for the belly,
Yeah.
which is, and
'Cause why
the
wouldn't
belly
you?
and the
Yeah.
inside of the thighs.
Right.
Right, because I think even if you were an animal, getting a tongue out
Yeah.
and then getting eyeballs out would
Yeah.
be.
And,
They would eat.
well,
they would go for eating
what
the
are-
flesh.
eyes and maybe tongue, I don't know, but eyes especially would be more a bird thing. And in that environment, I just don't see
That's what
a
I-
bird
Yeah, I don't
being
either.
there,
Yeah.
Okay, so more on her.
That's bizarre. And her ribs, dude. We didn't even talk about the.
Yeah, okay, to break that many ribs, okay, I can see falling, because I fell, right?
Yeah.
But I only broke one rib. I mean, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 6 ribs on the left side. We got almost looks like it's 7 or 8 breaks
See,
on the
that's what
right side.
I
That's
was asking.
incredible force to do that.
So on the right side, there's 2, right? There's like 2 breaks,
Mhm.
and then on the left side, it's just one clean, right, symmetrical line down.
Yes,
right?
and broken to the point where it punctured her heart.
Right, but it's like something, wow, folded.
Yeah, so here's some more on her. She was laying on kind of a natural ledge with water rolling over it. Her mouth was open. There are claims that the tongue was ripped or eaten or whatnot. That's actually what it says. The medical records simply that the tongue is missing is what it said in the medical records, describing missing hypoglossal muscle as well as muscles of the floor of the mouth. It looks weird, especially given the fact previous bodies had more detailed autopsies. There's no credible explanation for this vague statement, and so that's how they put it in their deal.
right.
Mona just made a statement that I think's really compelling. Is
Hear it.
I wonder how accurate those autopsy reports were.
Exactly.
Well,
If there was something fishy going on, the authorities would do anything to cover the truth and send people down the rabbit hole.
no, I totally
Yes.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
if the Russian government was in on this, yeah, they're going to make sure it fits their narrative.
Oh, absolutely. Right.
Okay, so moving right along. There's no credible explanation for this vague statement, which I said. It is noted that the stomach contained about 100 grams of dark brown mucosal mass, often misquoted as coagulated blood. So that's just dried up blood. It is used by some indication that the heart was beating and the blood was flowing when the tongue was removed from the mouth.
What?
The cause of death is stated as hemorrhage into the right atrium of the heart, multiple fractured ribs, and internal bleeding. Okay. Did you hear what I just? Did you hear what I? Did you guys hear what I just read?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the tongue was.
I'm going to read it again. It is used by. Okay, some indication that the heart was beating and the blood was flowing when the tongue was removed from the mouth. Now, that's not an animal because they were usually someone's dead that come across the body.
Just
Plus, I don't
pulling
think
the
an animal could grab a tongue
freaking-
out. That's just too weird. So these injuries are substantial. These are not minor injuries from falling.
God,
This
dude.
is like someone severely being beaten.
Here's what's weird about it too. It's severely been being beaten, and also it looks like they've been in a car wreck. Okay. And then also it looks like they were specifically like detailed in what they wanted. So the eyes and the tongue.
Yeah.
So it's like they were in this huge calamity, but yet their eyes and their tongues were still able to just get pulled out.
And the
While
heart's
she was
and the
still-
heart's still
and the heart
beating
was
when
still
the tongue.
beating. And the heart was still beating, Keith.
I know. That's why this is just unbelievable. All right, so
That means that okay.
let's move on to Simulan Zolotov. Is that pretty good? Nope.
You're gonna be speaking Russian by the end of this show.
I think so. Okay, number 1, eyeballs are missing. Number 2, missing soft tissue around the left eyebrow, size of 7 by 6 centimeter, bone is exposed. Number 3, open wound on the right side of the skull with exposed bone. 8
Wow.
8 by 6 centimeter in size. Where are you going, Pam? Okay. Number 4, flail chest, broken ribs, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 on the right side with 2 fracture lines, meaning that's completely broken all the way through. So,
Right in the middle of the
okay, so
chest.
now we've got what, 2 people of eyeballs missing, correct?
Mhm. Yep.
Now,
Tons of chest
were
injuries.
these okay? Were these 2 people in close proximity?
Yes, I think they're in the
They were
creek
under,
bed.
yeah. Okay, because we know that Lydia, she was found in the
Luda,
creek,
Yep.
right? And let's read a little more about this guy. The body of Simon Zoletov was found at Dyatlov Pass with the thorax and skirts and short long sleeves. Okay. Blacks. Okay. Anyway, scarf.
Where's Mila Kunis when we need her?
I know. I know it. 2 hats. Okay. I'm sorry. 2 hats, scarf, short, long sleeve shirt, a short, and then a long sleeve shirt, black sweater, and a coat with 2 upper buttons unbuttoned. It was fairly clear that the guys didn't die from the cold. On the contrary, the den was a pretty warm place for him. His lower part of the body was protected by underwear, 2 pairs of pants, and a pair of skiing pants. He had a copy of newspapers and several coins, compass, and other few items. His legs were protected by a pair of socks and a pair of warm leather handmade shoes known as a burqa. They probably couldn't keep him warm long enough, but in the den, it was sufficient in keeping the man alive. Now, let me finish this and we'll talk about the den. And did you read about the den?
Yes.
Okay.
A little bit.
Additionally, the body of Zolotov had a camera around his neck, as it's clearly seen on the pictures. Yeah, there's pictures of this guy. And again, we didn't want to show the bodies, but you can clearly
Right.
see a camera around his neck. That this camera became a complete surprise to Yuri Yurden, that he assumed the group had only 4 cameras that were found in the tent, and all of a sudden, a 5th camera turned out on the body. Unfortunately, melting water damaged the film, but the question still lingers. Why did Zolotov left the tent with the camera, and why did he take 2 cameras to the trip? One was used on a daily basis, and everyone saw it. It was left in the tent and discovered there by the search party. But another was hidden throughout the journey and was found only after Zolotov had died. The film was damaged by water, so the question remains, what was so important that he captured on the slope of the mountain that day? He was also found holding a pen in one hand and a small notepad in the other. That's strange.
That is.
To die like that.
Right.
Vladimir Askanov recalls that Colonel Okatrov grabbed the notepad, looked at it, cursed, and said, "He's written nothing." He seemed to be the only one that has seen the notepad. The whereabouts of this notepad is unknown and was missing.
Of course. Why not?
Okay, so did he write
Oh
something on
my
the notepad
God.
and he just said, "Oh, nothing here. Let me put this in my pocket."
Yeah. Oh, this guy write
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah. This, yeah.
Okay, so
That's why we shouldn't drink for the show.
No, okay. So I actually fact check me, listeners, because you know me. But I heard that there was one picture that they're able to pull from that camera.
On that camera?
Yes.
Did you
And
find
it
that
was
picture?
a light. I didn't.
God, Garrett.
It was the one I was telling you about before, though. That was like light and it had like the three shadowy. It looked like it was like somebody's head. So they didn't know if it was like messed up from the water, if it was an actual picture. But it was like it looked like it was some massive light. So just putting that out there. If anybody knows about the picture I'm talking about, it looks like a massive light with some shadowy.
So when you
figures.
say light, are you talking like they thought maybe it was a UFO or something like that?
Oh, that's what I would think it was.
Okay.
Other
Well,
people
maybe that's
think
where
it's
the
like-
radiation came from, right?
Right.
Okay. So we're moving along. Alexander Koletov.
Perfect.
That was so good. Okay, the body of Alexander Koletov was well insulated, but he was missing a hat and shoes. His upper torso was protected by a sleeveless shirt, long sleeve shirt, sweater, a fleece sweater, and a ski jacket, a zipper found unzipped. Ski jacket was damaged. A big hole in the left sleeve had burnt edges and measured 25 by 12 by 13 centimeters. His right sleeve was also damaged. Several tears, 7 to 8 centimeters, were found. The jacket was unbuttoned and unzipped. A strange finding for a person who was supposedly dying from cold and hypothermia. During autopsy, the following objects were retrieved from his pockets: keys, safety pin, some blank paper, probably to keep a record of his thoughts or events, and 2 packages of pills, which are soda and codeine.
Nice.
All right. The lower part of the body had shorts, light pants, ski pants, and another pair of canvas pants. From the right pocket, doctors retrieved a box of matches that was soaked wet. His feet, as it was mentioned, had no shoes, but they were protected by home-knitted woolen socks with sites of fire damage. His right foot was also protected by a light sock underneath a woolen one. His left foot has similar 3 socks. A bandage was discovered on the left ankle, but it was probably put before Dyatlov Pass incident since the group left their first aid kit in the tent. The waistband of the sweater and the lower parts of his trousers later tested radioactive again. Okay, so looking at his injuries. Number 1, lack of soft tissue around eyes. Eyebrows are missing. Skull bones are exposed. Okay, so those are some deep gashes. Number 2, the bridge of the nose is straight. The nose cartilage is soft when palpated, and that just means they felt his nose, and has unusual mobility. The base of the nose is flattened with the nostrils compressed. This doesn't necessarily mean broken nose. Okay, number 3, open wound behind ear, size 3 by 1.5 centimeters. 4, deformed neck. That's some strength there. 5, diffuse bleeding in the underlying tissue of the left knee, not shown on the diagram. Softened and white-skinned, maceration of the fingers and feet, sign consistent with purification or what's that word? Putrefaction in a wet environment.
Got me.
Yeah, I mean, Number 7, overall skin had a gray-green color with a tinge of purple. Okay. The autopsy had similar strange silence about the injuries of the victim. Broken nose, which they just said though. That's kind of contradictory.
Yeah.
Open wound behind the ear and deformed neck might be the result of a fight and be the cause of death. On the other hand, it could have been caused by natural elements since the body was exposed to nature for 3 whole months. Yet the doctor ignores this matter and doesn't try to explain the reason for these strange injuries. We should probably add the snap neck and blow behind the ear is a common sign of killing performed by special forces. Why they put that? Okay. However, we can't be sure about this since the autopsy report didn't specify any more detail about the body. We are left guessing on the nature and the origin of these injuries. Okay, so a force to the neck like that, deformed. I mean, that is a lot of force, man.
Yes, it is. And
I agree with the guy who performed the autopsy. Said some of them looked like they had been in bad car crashes.
Right.
That is bizarre. And some of these were the skulls actually you can see. So it's
Yeah.
deep lacerations.
Man, this like all of our shows has taken kind of a strange little turn that I wasn't expecting, because whenever we lay it all out like this, it's so incredible.
Well,
It just really is.
Yeah, I've
The
kind of
autopsies are really wow. It's almost painting completely. I don't know if it's like agreeing with our theories or not. Like, I can't tell yet.
yeah. I mean, looking at this from what I'm seeing, and these people were fighting for their life, and they were
But isn't
basically beaten to death. Is what it sounds like.
Isn't it weird that the people that are more clothed have the worst injuries?
Yeah.
So it's almost like the other people died, less violent deaths,
Right.
and these people survived. So it was almost like there was two separate attacks or two separate events.
Yeah.
One that got them out, and then one that essentially killed them all.
Now, were they found again? Because you know a little more about this than I do. Were they found? It was three separate. I mean, it's split up in three separate groups, right?
Yeah, it's spread out a little bit.
You had
right.
4 together,
right? And we're talking about
4, 7, 8, 9. So it'd have been 2, 3, and then 4.
Right.
Because was the 4 the one they found by the creek?
Yes.
Yeah, and that was the one where Lydia, she was in there.
Luda.
Luda, I'm sorry,
yeah,
Luda.
Eyes and tongue.
That's what. And the guy next to her was he in the same proximity of her that was missing his eyes, or was that elsewhere?
No, I believe that was in the same proximity. Mona could probably tell us.
God, that's weird.
Right. No, absolutely.
All
but
right.
they had more clothing on.
Yeah. And that's weird.
So that's what gets me.
It's almost like they beat up the other guys, took their clothes, and then
died a horrible
then beat themselves to death.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So let's move on to this is the last victim. And there's Garrett, everybody looking at his phone.
Dude, I'm reading
he got busted.
I'm reading the chat.
Yeah, right there. Okay, Nicolai Thibault Briganol was well protected against coldness of Siberian winter. It was suggested that he and Zolotov might have been outside of the tent at the time the mysterious threat struck them. This explains why both hikers wore shoes and were covered by several layers of clothes. I get that.
Right.
Because the rest of them, it seemed like they grabbed everything in haste.
Yes.
And so that's why some of them didn't have shoes on.
Right.
And some of them, they said they left the boots in the tent.
Right. Yeah.
So something scared them so bad that they left life-preserving things in that tent.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, this explains why both hikers wore shoes and were covered by several layers of clothes. Both men were much better prepared than the rest of the group when they were forced to abandon their tent. Nikolai wore a canvas fur hat, a home-knitted wool hat. Upper body was protected from coldness by a shirt, a wool sweater worn inside out, and a fur jacket on a sheepskin. Woolen gloves were found in the right pocket, along with 3 coins, comb, and several pieces of paper. The lower part of the body was protected by underwear, sweatpants, cotton pants, and ski pants. Wow, he was dressed.
Prepared.
On his feet, he wore hand-knitted woolen socks and a pair of felt boots, Russian winter shoes, perfect for Siberian cold. Additionally, Nikolai wore 2 watches on his left arm. That's weird. One stopped at 8:14. The other stopped at 8:39. Cataveric spots were discovered on the back of the upper body, neck, and upper extremities. Face hair length up to 1 centimeter. So his injuries: number 1, multiple fractures to the temporal bone with extensions to the frontal and sphenoid bone. Close up of the fractures to the skull is shown on the picture. Number 2, bruise on the upper lip on the left side. 3, hemorrhage on the lower forearm, size 10 by 12 centimeters. Nikolai, who undertook an autopsy, excluded accidental fall on a rock as a possible cause for such as massive and unusual fractures, so they ruled that out.
Right.
From what kind of force could Thibault Briganol have received such injury? In the conclusion, it shows the damage to Thibault Briganol's head could have been the result of the throwing, falling, or jettisoning of the body. So like someone threw him, but I mean, we have to throw him with such force.
Dude, he's wearing, like,
and then how are you going to pick up a grown man?
He's wearing everybody's clothes too.
Right. It says, I don't believe these injuries could have been the result of Thibault Briganol simply falling from the level of his own height, i.e. falling and hitting his head. The extensive depressed multi-splintered broken fornix in the base of the skull. Fracture could be the result of an impact of an automobile moving at a high speed. The kind of trauma could have occurred if Thibaut Briganol had been thrown and fallen and hit his head against rocks,
Oh my god.
ice, or by a gust of strong wind.
A gust of strong wind, really. And I'd be
Ball
like,
peen hammer.
That'd be like a tornado coming through.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so that's basically all of that.
Oh my god, dude.
So there was something hang on. What was it I saw that was kind of interesting? That the watch stopping.
Yes, yes.
Okay, one of them had 8:14. What was it? The other one was like around
8:39.
8:30. Okay, well, no,
Oh.
he had. I'm talking about. Okay, this guy had 2 watches. One stopped at 8:14.
Right.
One stopped at 8:39. Why he's wearing 2 watches? Who the hell knows? But there's another victim whose watch stopped. Wasn't it like around the same time?
Oh, was there?
Yeah.
Okay, because then that's even stranger
Wow,
if
yeah.
these people were separate from the other person and they died around the same time. But
Dude.
now again, we don't know. Just because a watch stopped doesn't mean they all died at the same time.
But why would a watch stop at the same time on 2 separate people?
Because you wind it about the same time every day.
Oh, is that what it would?
That would
okay.
be my guess.
But
I
why
don't-
would it stop?
What
though?
year?
Why would it stop?
This is
anyways?
1959.
Okay, so we weren't
So-
using.
We weren't
Little
using battery
batteries and
watches. We were
watches.
using it. Remember are you old
Wind
enough to
up.
remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
You have
absolutely.
wind-up watches?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not the kind that if your arm moving, the watch keeps
And
working. You
did
have
I-
to literally wind it every 24 hours.
Yeah. So why would they stop at both at 8:14 though? Wouldn't they just keep going for 24 hours? Something
Well-
would have had to make them stop at 8:14, right?
No, they wind the watch every day at 8:14.
Oh, got
You
it.
see what I'm saying?
Oh, got it.
And they
Okay,
wound
that
it
makes
the day
sense.
before, and it whatever.
Yeah,
got
they're all
'em.
like, okay,
They just happen to
8:15.
run out at the same
That
time.
makes
You know,
sense.
it's
And
like
did
some
they
guy
all-
starts winding their watch, and everybody goes, "Oh
Hey,
yeah, I should do that too."
And the guy with the second watch
Yeah.
is like, okay, they're gonna wake up at 8:15. I'm gonna go ahead and sleep 25
Why do you-
minutes.
why-
Okay.
Why do you suppose he had 2 watches on?
The reason I just said.
I wouldn't listen.
Everybody else is gonna wake up at 8:15. He's gonna wake up 25 minutes later with his other watch.
No,
That's-
there were
that's
no
silly.
alarms on watches.
There
There was an
Garrett.
alarm, yeah. Garrett, there probably wasn't even a date back then on those, or
Yeah, I don't know why he would have, unless he took it from
he
somebody else.
crossed time zones and go, oh, I got the other watch too.
Yeah. No, but he could have taken it from somebody else.
Yeah, that's
In
true.
case
But
his
that would,
dies,
but
right?
something that important when they mention that, like, oh,
Or-
well, he had Yuri's watch on.
Could, yeah,
You know, I
yeah,
think they would have said that.
yeah,
So
You know,
he just had 2 watches on for who knows what reason.
yeah. He just liked
If
watches.
anybody in a chat would know if you're a
sentimental, a backup, who
hiker,
knows?
Right,
maybe
yeah,
a backup
no.
watch. That's a good idea. Maybe that's exactly what it was.
I
It
know
was just
several years ago, I bought when my parents were traveling a lot. I bought my mother a watch that actually had 2 faces, so you could set it for 2 different time zones.
Oh, okay.
right. And I mentioned that, but it's like I was joking. I mean,
Yeah.
like we're gonna, part of this journey, we're crossing a timeline.
You're right. Yeah.
But that's not the case. Okay, so Garrett, you sent some pictures to me that you wanted to show, and now this is the one on the far left where you see him. You can tell, okay, right there. There's some heavy ass snow going on.
Yeah, that's pretty much, I think, toward like when they're kind of coming to the end of their journey. I think this may have been one of the last pictures
Okay.
taken. The other one, that's Igor.
Okay.
They
So
all tough.
okay. So in the right top, there's the tent built on the slope
Yeah, and this
with the edge of that above the tent.
right, and this is the argument that goes towards the, because I just thought it would be, we have to mention it, the slab avalanche
Mhm.
theory,
Mhm.
where
There's not there's no way that could happen. Even I mean the slab. I mean I would think okay, hang on. If that happened, why were the bodies scattered?
well, no, absolutely, everything points away from that, but that's what they're telling everybody that's happening.
Now I could see if the whole mountain and they heard the rumbling and they all started running in different
Yeah,
directions
exactly.
and it all came
Right,
down
right.
upon them. But still there was no okay. So we've already ruled avalanche out, right? They're
Yeah,
just-
absolutely. I just wanted to show this because
yeah.
this is what they're telling everybody is what happened.
Look at this poor guy down here. He's got icicles all over his.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cold. I mean, these guys loved hiking, didn't they?
Oh man, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we're gonna go to Garrett's next picture here, and
Well, that's interesting.
so
Okay, so it's the same thing. It's just with the tent, and I'm glad that we had this one on here because you can see all the poles, and we were talking about poles earlier. Just all the gear that they had to have on
Yeah.
this. I mean, they're very like invested into this expedition. On the right is how their tent was.
Okay, so that's
essentially,
definitely not an avalanche. There's maybe
yeah.
a 6 to 7 inches of snow on top
So
of the
I
tent.
wanted to. I like this one because I wanted to show the two next to each other.
Okay, then
Because look at this drawing, and
Right.
then look at this picture, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah. It
Right.
doesn't seem like that's what happened.
and so this next picture I think is just of all
that's just
everybody
so they
there.
put a face to the name.
I'll let you read all the names, Garrett.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so
Yeah, you don't have to read their names.
so at this point, let's go ahead and talk about some more theories.
Well, you had a.
Yeah,
You're waiting on that.
I'm kind man, I don't want to go there, but I have.
think we have to, dude.
I almost have to go
Right.
here.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, so from my medical profession, Pam's medical profession, what we're seeing here, these people were attacked.
Right.
They were hit with such force that, we're talking about multiple ribs breaking, skull fractures. I mean, these guys just didn't fall. An avalanche didn't happen. These people are beaten. That's
Yeah.
what I
Right.
think.
Yeah.
Now I know, like we talked earlier about the lady who wrote the book. I think she is called 9 Dead or something like that. You can get on Amazon.
Let's use the word attacked instead of beaten,
Okay.
because they were attacked by something.
Yeah, but her theory was that it was Russian spies, but she really didn't have an explanation for what the reason really was.
Right.
So she thought it was a homicide, but there's really no proof there. But these people, okay, so my professional opinion, are just trying to be logical, and I'm getting ready to get real illogical here in a minute.
No, we have to.
Okay, this was a fight for their lives.
Yes.
I think something scared them. Something must have been blocking the front of the tent. Okay.
Right.
Whether it was people, animals, something. So they thought, we're going to cut and make a break for out the side.
Absolutely.
Like Scooby-Doo. Ruh-roh.
Uh-oh.
And run out. So something. Okay. So let's start there. We're at the tent.
Yes.
We're in the tent. We're singing Russian songs, drinking
On the ukulele, because one of them brought a uke.
Yes. Yeah, ukulele. Yep. So all of a sudden, something gets their attention. Now, whether we know that is a sound, which a lot of people think that scared them out, or I have to say it was a person or a something.
Right.
Because me and you talked about this too. There's a door on your tent.
I'm not going out that door. I'm not going out that door. Give me your knife, dude. Give me your knife.
Because they all would have went out the front of the tent, right?
Yeah.
Something was blocking it.
Yes.
Okay, so they couldn't get out, right? So they ripped the tent to make a Scooby-Doo exit, and then they all just started running in packs. They didn't run together, and that would make more sense because
Spread
whatever's
out.
chasing you spread out.
Right. Well, and you wouldn't even be thinking spread out.
You just be running.
Yeah, especially
And
in the dark, sub 30-degree temperatures.
Right, and then maybe heavy snow.
Can I add
Apparently, from
something?
those pictures, it looked like it was pretty heavy snow. If you
Can I add something I read
going and looking at that,
and we talked about?
what
Is that I've read that the footprints that were leaving, because we can tell when somebody's panicked or somebody's running, their gait's longer, the footsteps are messed up, they're putting more impact in the snow, right?
Yeah.
Is that the 8 to 9, so 8 or 9, that's what I read, is they couldn't really determine. Footprints were actually pretty calm. They weren't like crazy going bananas. These footprints were like me and you walking out of here. And in one case, even two sets of the
like they were
footprints,
following each other, you said.
right? Like in one case, one
But
set of footprints were inside the other.
I just can't. I can't go with that. I'm just saying, because why am I cutting I'm cutting the side of the tent open because I'm scared. Because I can't
Exactly,
there's
yeah.
something blocking me here.
But you're trying to sneak off,
Ooh.
not
Oh.
run.
Ooh.
Oh.
Pamela, I love it. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. Yes. Oh, you're so smart. I'm so
That's
What?
a great point. That's a very good point. And that makes
That's
almost more
exact-
sense.
Yes.
Sneaking off. Then you got the
Oh.
more the
Yeah.
the following one another.
Getting lost too, man. Because you
Good.
got to think about trying to
Good job, Pammy.
Hold on, Pammy.
That
'Cause
was
they-
well done, Pammy.
I think one of the last notes that Igor had written down was that because they were even having like such a good time, they started a I forget what it was called, but essentially like a daily newspaper where they were writing articles about
Right.
the trip and stuff. But on the last day, he said the wind was so difficult. It was like a jet, like being behind a jet as it took off, like
Really?
wind.
Okay.
So you can imagine that kind of environment that they're in, right? Like, but they're so scared of something that they're gonna try to cut out and sneak out the back. But once they're out there, it's again the wind is like you're behind a jet. It's snowing coming down, so you can see where you would grab onto somebody almost and just follow, and before you know it, you're like 30 meters away from them. You're like, holy shit, we're by ourselves. Let's build a fire.
Okay.
Oh God, it's coming up on me.
Okay,
climb
so
the
let's
tree.
reconstruct this. Okay,
Yeah.
so what Pam said, it's dark. Okay,
I didn't say it was dark. I just said they're trying to sneak out.
well, yeah, but
Which would make sense
Yeah, but
about
think
the-
about. Well, see, here was the problem that Garrett and I had before that. We didn't think about it. With how would you sneak out? They would see you. If it's but if you're out in the
that kind of
freaking-
environment,
it's
right?
pitch black.
Well, and wind
right?
and snow, the elements of
Right,
being in a
right.
mountain range, and
So that would be
Serbia.
your only. I mean, if
Yeah.
you cut that hole and you all kind of snuck
Get
out,
out of here, go.
that would be your only chance. Because I kept, for some reason, I kept thinking
And
daylight,
why they didn't take their boots?
and I thought, well, they
stuff.
would, because they were in a haste.
They were in
Yeah.
bed.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe they
Wow.
heard a growl, a roar, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's keep going. So
Here's the thing, but a growl or a roar wouldn't. I'm trying to speak on behalf of like being out in the woods with people. I don't think that the first thing that we would do, it would have to be something that's sustaining itself,
Mhm.
right? I think that like
Yeah.
so it gets to the point where it's like, dude, do we need to get out of here? Okay, we got to get out of here, and then you just bounce.
but you would know well,
a presence. Let's say a presence.
yeah, but
there would have to
you
be a presence.
you
out
would
there.
have to. First of all, they have to know something's standing in front of the tent,
But
right?
what's outside of the tent will certainly kill you. They know that because they're hikers and they're high level hikers. So they
But you've got
What-
no choice at this
right.
point,
So what that means is whatever's outside of the tent is more scary than freezing to death,
right?
which is terrifying to think about.
Well, and that's the thing. Think about the area they're at, time of day, whatever. It doesn't matter on that. But what else is going to be able to survive in that environment? What kind of an animal
A wolf pack.
is going to be able to survive in that environment if there's limited shelter? They can't build a fire. There's limited
Right.
prey
Mhm.
available. There's no opportunity,
Right.
to hunt.
Well, it's like we said earlier, a wolf. That I can.
Yeah,
think
but
of
a wolf wouldn't
would
be.
just demolish.
That wouldn't be
the
that
whole-
minute. I mean, if I
the
would just
whole-
say, "Everybody, be quiet," the
Yeah.
wolf will go away.
Here's
You
what's
know what I
crazy.
mean?
I think that actually, if I'm actually a huge fan of wolves, I think that if there was a pack, they could scare you out of a tent, right? But here's where I get messed up. They wouldn't just eat your. They wouldn't break your ribs and eat your eyeballs.
And crush your
They
skull.
might pull you
Right.
apart,
Right.
They're
but
not-
every
well,
inch of your
again-
meat would
But
be.
yeah,
Again,
but-
we have no teeth marks.
right.
Exactly,
Not
yeah.
once in any of those
None.
It's
autopsy
not
reports
consistent.
that you
No-
read did
no
there say
animal
anything
predators.
That's why
about
I'm so glad you read those.
bite marks,
Yeah.
teeth marks of
Right.
any kind.
Right.
So
Yeah. So we
Yeah.
know that's not.
You've
So
thrown your dog a rib. Yeah.
literally.
okay, so we've cut the tent open. Okay, Garrett, me, and Pam were in the tent, right?
Yeah.
There's something huge in front of
A
our
presence.
our flap to get out. So
Yes.
we're like, okay, it's dark. We can't go out this way. We'll be killed. Our only chance is to cut a hole in the tent. It's dark. Maybe if we sneak out,
Right.
then we can get away from this thing. I mean, and that's really only option.
Yeah.
Because if you stay in the tent,
Yeah,
what if
you're-
it comes down, it
yeah.
starts beating the tent or whatever it is.
Right.
Which, if
And
it,
maybe
and
it
if they were,
did. I mean, maybe it did after they snuck off. Maybe it started piling snow on there and going crazy. And that's why it
Well,
looks that way.
And the other thing that just occurred to me too is that if it's when people are going hiking, and I don't know anything about mountain climbing hiking.
Right.
But what I've seen movies and documentaries and stuff, they don't generally carry weapons.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So to me that says, okay, they're last concern is being attacked by something that they
Right.
would need to defend themselves
Right.
from in that
No,
respect. It's
absolutely.
more elemental
True.
type,
Yes,
the
that's
snow
a great
and that.
point. Yeah.
And it's like, that's why you don't bring a gun, because the sound is going to set off an avalanche.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
To me, it just like they went up there prepared to fight the elements, but not something else.
Right. Right. Because and they knew what they were getting into. I mean, I think they
Right.
had done their research.
Right.
And so they would have known if there was something out there that could, potentially physically harm them, and they'd be prepared for that.
Well,
So
somebody, I think
But-
Mona mentioned earlier in
See,
chat that
that's what got him right there.
there was somebody in town before they left that told them, here it is, guys. Have you heard about the local guy from the nearby village who warned them not to go hiking in that direction?
Yes, we need to talk about the Mansi tribe.
Yeah.
yes.
Okay,
Guy
that
identified, investigated, but we
there
can't
was
remember his
there
name.
was a tribe called the Mansi tribe that did live in this area.
Mhm.
How they survived beats the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Because they've probably been doing it for 1,000
Right.
years.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they were a peaceful tribe.
Right.
Garrett told me that one of them helped find the bodies.
Yeah, some of them
And that they
actually
had-
helped locate the first two bodies. Yeah.
Okay, and this next picture, we're getting ready to get to that. The Mansi said that we were trying to tell them, don't go in the woods because of the snowman. They call it the
Yeah,
snowman.
yeah.
Okay, so there were several pictures taken during their little journey, and they developed most of the film except for the ones that got wet. But this is one picture that I'm going to show you guys. This is a picture that they caught. I'm waiting for it to pop up on Pammy's screen over there.
God, I just thought of
So this looks like a Bigfoot to me. I tried to zoom
Are you
in on
sure
this.
that's not your older brother?
Yeah.
that.
No, it's Garrett.
Yeah, it's Garrett. Garrett.
Okay, so the weird thing about this, I tried, the pixelation so bad when you blow it up. Because I was thinking, okay, well, the top part looks kind of lighter than the bottom part. Maybe that's a shirt. Maybe that's a guy in a big black snowsuit. But
Yeah, it could have been Igor looking back.
But look at the arm on the
I
right
know.
side, which looks odd.
His right or your right?
His right.
I would be curious to
My
know
left.
what order this picture was taken in,
Yeah. That'd be
because they could have been like, hey, let's put up a shelter.
okay. And here's my other thing.
Like, why did he put up a shelter in a weird place?
It was important enough that
because this dude's following me.
they took a picture of this thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You know how you started off the show by saying he put for somebody that knows a lot about what they're doing, he sure did put his camp in a weird spot. Why did he put it there?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, dude, if you had something following you and peeking back at you and making noises and menacing you,
Mm-hmm.
would you write it down? Probably not. I don't know. Because they all had pens and papers.
So what's chat
Oh.
chat room? What do you think this is? Do you think it is a Bigfoot, or do you think this is a guy in a snowsuit? It was important enough they took the picture. I don't, I can't. I don't know, man. It's odd.
It
And-
is because I don't know.
What do you guys think this is? I'll give you.
It almost looks like a trill leading, right?
Yeah,
So it was like
they came across this thing, or maybe. Well, they talked about there was the Mincy. Is that right?
yeah.
Tribe. There's apparently a bunch of these, what they called snowmen, that were deadly, and they were trying to warn the hikers, "Hey, don't go in the woods. This thing's out there."
Right.
Which, if we go with the Bigfoot theory, could he chase 3 different groups down by himself and kill them?
Why is there just one though?
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. That's what I'm getting
A
at.
gang of Bigfoots.
It's a gang. Yeah, I sound like I need to be put in a
posse.
freaking mental
No,
institution.
It's a posse.
But that's what I'm saying. Could one big
Posse of
okay?
Bigfoots, bro.
If we're going with Bigfoot, could one Bigfoot kill? Listen, no, let me finish. Okay, so they run off in 3 groups, right?
Yes.
Okay, so he kills one group. The other 2 there, the other groups probably it was getting so cold is like we got to hunker
They're
down somewhere.
slowing down.
They're
yeah.
not
We're
gonna
slowing-
last long.
They're not going to last long.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
And did you read about the den where they were trying to make a
I want you to
den?
tell me more about that. I knew that they had tried to construct. Some
Yeah,
sort
they
of,
were trying to construct a den to
Right.
get shelter and like dig a snow
It
cave
was going
kind
to
of thing.
suffice. It was going to be
Which-
fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So because eventually, if you think about, I think it was like minus 25 degrees
Yep.
or something like that. So you're not going to get real far before it's like because okay, for one thing is the air is thin. You're going to be having a hard time breathing.
Absolutely.
You're not going to get far.
Hypothermia.
and you've got to
your blood's not going fast, so you're
No.
slowing down, right?
So you
get
have
tired.
to at this point make camp somewhere, or maybe
Right.
hide from whatever's chasing you, whether it was a guy or a group of guys
Yeah,
or
yeah.
it was a group of
Just say a
Bigfoots.
Bigfoot.
It looks guys, it looks
Because
like a Bigfoot.
It would make more sense if it wasn't a gang of Bigfoots, because they all died like it seems separately. So because some of them were wearing the clothes of others, right? And
Right.
and so some had more traumatic injuries than others. So
But then let's also look at this: were they okay? And we don't know this too. I mean, yeah, it could have been. What if it wasn't at night when this thing was in front of them?
right.
Then it kind of takes the sneaking out thing out of the picture.
I feel like maybe they caught
Because
on to
look,
it.
if this is what chased them, if this big thing here,
Yeah,
obviously it's daylight, right?
right.
They got a picture of it. Of course, I wouldn't be going towards it. I would be going the other. I mean, maybe I probably
Maybe
would
you're
snap a
passing them.
picture and then
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
going the other way. So then we have, the radiation thing.
The light
Um,
scene.
Now, is it okay? This sounds crazy. I'm not saying a UFO dropped off
Dude, take it
Bigfoot.
off this fi-
Yeah, I will. I'm sorry.
You're good.
Now I got to go back over here. Hang on a second. Give me a second, guys. Okay, boom. Well, there we go.
Okay.
Okay, so okay, let's just pretend it's Bigfoot. Okay,
Yes.
is it 3 Bigfoots or 2 Bigfoots, or is it one that like he hunts down, he gets these folks right here, kills them, the other they have to stop
It's a
because
scout Bigfoot,
it's a scout
Yeah.
big
and
and
he's herding them.
he's tracking them. No,
Yeah.
he's tracking them. He's looking at their tracks where they're going and attacks them. And you hear Bigfoots aren't usually aggressive animals. I mean, so they say, not that,
Right.
that they try to hide from humans. However, the Mansi tribe says that they are.
Well, what did I tell you before the show about Bigfoot?
I don't know.
I said Bigfoot. What I was watching a show and there was a Native American cop on there, and he had a kid ride along with him, right?
Mhm.
And he said he thought this like a Bigfoot had been at the crime scene, and the kid was like, "Man, Bigfoot's not real." He said Bigfoot's a spirit, and
Mhm.
Bigfoot presents himself when and how Bigfoot wants to present himself. So I mean, that could
Mhm.
just be one of those issues. That's if that's what
Okay.
they believe.
You still didn't answer my question though.
One,
Is it one Bigfoot?
one.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pam, we're saying if it was a Bigfoot, was it one or was it a couple of them? And then we kind of need to know what was the time of death between each group.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Was there a space of time? Because then he did have time to, and he would be able to get these people.
How do you
Like
know
I
it's a
said,
he?
he or she. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, I'd have to go with multiple.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, but to me, it would depend on the time of death, because the Bigfoot could track them. I mean, look
Right.
at their, if they're that smart to say, oh, they went this way or whatever.
Yeah.
And again, we know in 25 below zero, you're not getting far,
Right.
and you're going to have to hunker down somewhere,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So then he could just
Yeah.
take his
And if
time,
you're a
probably.
predator, you know these things.
Right. And if you're used to the
You can
The
sense
outdoor-
environment.
what are people saying, Pam? Do they believe it's Bigfoot?
You can sense when something's dying.
Most people say looks like Bigfoot. Looks like Bigfoot. Mel says it looks like her husband.
Mona
Um,
says Mr. and Mrs. Bigfoot.
Mhm, exactly. Entire family.
Family that kills
Yeah.
together stays together.
Absolutely. I mean, we haven't even gone over the UFO thing.
Okay,
yet.
but look, we're getting there. Because I want to finish the Bigfoot thing.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Okay, and here, so if I'm going with Bigfoot, okay, the size of this creature, right?
Right.
Which we can't really tell because we don't know how big that
Right,
tree
perspective
is.
is
We can't
difficult,
tell
yeah.
how big is this thing. But the crushing blows, and we've all heard Bigfoot's usually about between 8 to 9 feet, 3 to 500 pounds,
Right.
super strong,
Right. Yeah.
could cause these type
Car
of
wreck
injuries,
damage. Yeah.
right? Okay, so
Something could be hitting it and it doesn't even matter.
So for me to make it also fit my narrative is
Go ahead.
the radiation could be that the Russians were testing stuff in that area.
Absolutely.
Radiation hangs around a long time, right?
Right.
So it'd be on the snow, it'd be on everything. So you could still have Bigfoot killing these people and then find radiation on them, or this sounds
Well,
so nuts.
Is it weird? Is it weird that they do atomic testing where
They
like
said-
Roswell and
No, well, yeah, in Nevada they did that. I mean, and,
Right.
and it's a known fact that they say that the Russians were testing, had nuclear experiments going on in that area.
and with winds, I mean, in the
Right.
military, their meteorology is like on point.
And they had, and so and another thing, what
They
kind of
know
makes me
what's up.
wonder is how did some of those searchers know to bring a Geiger counter?
I think it goes back to Stalin,
Why?
Interesting.
World War II.
Yeah.
Hitler was into all that occult stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Stalin probably,
Yeah.
And they were probably doing some kind of testing out there in the boonies where
Yep.
there weren't going to be a bunch of people around. And, maybe it's not a quote naturally occurring Bigfoot,
Right,
but a
right.
super genetic,
Ah.
irradiated, mutated Bigfoot.
It definitely
Okay,
could.
Mona says, seriously though, if it was Bigfoot, wouldn't they have same
prints.
injuries? Well, there's similar injuries, Mona. I mean, with the broken ribs, skull fractures.
But she's talking about. Well, I guess if its only job was to get rid of these people,
Yeah.
then it wouldn't really matter how they died. Like if
Well, I mean,
if you came across, if a
if-
Bigfoot came across you and you were like, they died from hypothermia. He's like checking your pulse. Okay, he's dead.
Yeah.
But if he comes across you and your heart's still pumping, he's just gonna rip out your eyes and your tongue while you're still alive.
Yeah. I
Just because he can.
Yeah.
I don't know, Mona.
What an
I
asshole.
would
Bigfoot's
say
an asshole.
I would say if someone's getting beaten to death, whether it's a human being or they could totally be different injuries. They wouldn't be all somewhat similar, depending on like one, say he picked him up and threw him against a tree. The other one he punched. The other one
Right.
he, Bigfoot just got out of the bar. He's had a few too many.
Throws one.
Somebody beat him a pull that night. He was pissed off.
Yeah.
So
I think what Mona's trying to do here is she's trying to say, okay, hey, if it wasn't Bigfoot, what was it? Was it an alien? I think that's where Mona's going with that.
yeah, I'm
that
sure
where
that's
you're going?
I think
exactly
that's where
Mona.
Mona's going with that.
So
How do you disagree? Because it is true. Like,
and Mona brings up a good point. It was the beginning of the Cold War, which that's when they all started doing the nuclear testing.
Mhm.
And it was a well, I mean, you can research it. They said that they did nuclear testing in that area.
and shady as all get out.
Oh yeah,
Shady as all get out.
yeah,
So
yeah. So I mean, that man, as crazy as it sounds, guys, the injuries are not an avalanche. These injuries are not just hypothermia. These injuries are not them just tripping and falling. Something beat them. Something
yes.
attacked them. Whether it was a
Supernatural.
secret agent like they talked about, or a Bigfoot,
or a supernatural force.
or a supernatural force. But that picture, it looks like a Yeti to me.
Me too.
So it's
It looks
crazy.
like somebody's like peeking around like,
Mhm.
oh God, they saw me. They took a picture. Well,
So
It's funny though, because that picture, when we hear about Yeti,
right.
the Himalayan version of Bigfoot, they're always white,
Right.
and that picture's not.
Right.
Right, right, yeah.
That's true.
the snowman you think would be white, but I mean, the Bigfoot sightings around here, they're all dark hair.
Right. Right.
So I mean, who's to say there's dark hair
well, yeah,
Yetis or whatever?
yeah.
Well,
And how do we know if they saw it was covered in snow, like the hair is covered in snow, so it gave it a white
True.
look,
Good point.
right?
Good point.
So
yeah.
I gotta say,
But
because
most animals though will adapt to their
Exactly.
environment.
Mhm.
Like Arctic hare are white because it camouflages them. Where rabbits around here are brown, not green, obviously brown because it's easier for them to hide.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean,
so that's because I'm in the paranormal. I do believe in Bigfoot. We're doing a show next week on Bigfoot,
Yep.
right? We're gonna have someone who's a member of some type of association that's an expert on it. We're gonna interview him next week about Bigfoot. I'm coming to the conclusion. It's crazy. If anybody's watching this, my friends and stuff, but yeah, I think it was a Bigfoot attack. The injuries are just like I said. It's not an avalanche. It's not slipping and falling.
Right.
It was something with brute force, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So you want to talk about the UFO angle, right?
I think it's possible.
Okay.
and I don't care if
Okay,
I
so
don't care if my friends judge me.
no, I know, but I mean, I just it's
They can judge me all
I
they
try
want.
to go. I try to go by facts. I mean,
I know,
basically,
I know.
we don't know what happened,
No, but this.
but I'm just saying due to the injuries. Okay, so go ahead.
Well, I mean, the facts point towards. I mean, I wish we could zoom in with this camera because we're both wearing hats that have a UFO dropping off a Bigfoot.
Yes, yes.
So the two oftentimes are one and the same. And when you first said that, when we first started the show, first off, I never would think about believing in Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Ever. You knew that.
But now you do.
Now I do. And you were like, hey, oftentimes you see a UFO sighting and a Bigfoot sighting, right? And
Yep.
so I don't know, it could be a concoction of both, you know.
They like to hang out near the trailer park.
Yep. So your theory,
the yellow, okay, for instance.
okay, won't you tell the audience about the lights that there's actually reported lights in the sky at that time?
Right.
There was another hiking group that didn't go with them. They were 30 miles away.
Right.
And they said around that night they saw a bright glowing light, and
Size
which
of the
I
moon.
did mention that
You
in the
did,
narrative.
you did. Size of the moon.
Size of the moon. That looked like almost blue lightning when it flashed.
Yep.
And it did this for a few minutes. Okay, so go ahead.
Well, no. And there had been other people that have said that they've seen orbs. Or a lot of times people were saying they would see orange orbs floating around out in the distance out there as well. And then also there was a little kid from the town that this college was in, and he went to a lot of the funerals. He said a lot of them had this really weird dark yellow complexion, which I don't know if you mentioned that earlier or not. I know somebody mentioned it in the chat earlier.
Yeah, they did.
Which could be from radiation. It could be from being out in the cold. I mean, the elements.
Right. It could definitely be like a radiation burn.
Right. Or a radiation burn.
Yeah.
And so the lack of footprints, the sightings of lights in the skies, the injuries, it almost seems like everybody got a little sample taken from them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let me.
Okay, I'm glad. Yeah.
They got a big sample taken.
Okay,
from
so
them.
Mona says, I think it was a missile testing gone wrong. That happened a lot during the Soviet era. Remember Chernobyl? And yeah, that's definitely one of the first theories I came up with. I don't know.
External injuries.
Yeah, the external injuries. I don't know that it would cause that. It would make sense about the radiation.
It could scare them.
And it could scare them, and the noise, the light, lighting up the sky.
The internal injuries that aren't necessarily seen externally is what kind of baffles
Well, and
me.
she says, remember Chernobyl. So I was like, what were the injuries at Chernobyl? Were there crushing injuries? I mean, I would think more of a burning type of thing you would see.
That series on HBO, but I haven't gotten.
What's that? Chernobyl?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch that.
I would think there'd be more burning injuries, that kind of thing, not crushed faces and skull and ribs.
Yeah.
But no, that's a good point.
Tongue and eyes.
But like with my theory, it goes, well, I think there's missile testing. I think this Bigfoot killed them all, and that the radiation was just picked up from the missile testing.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. See, I think that the radiation could have been picked up from like a UFO event.
Yeah. And again, we can get even crazier, like you said, because there's been a couple of sightings where someone saw a UFO who lived out in the country, and then they see a Bigfoot shortly after.
Right.
So they think they're interdimensional creatures, right?
Right. No, absolutely.
Bigfoot and UFO interdimensional.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. I would
agree. This is a paranormal show, right?
Wrong place, wrong time.
Wrong place, wrong time.
Needed a sample. So I don't think the thing that gets me is, and again, people can tamper down information that's getting left out. It happens in investigations all the time today. I feel like that we would have known if there was massive big footprints that would have leaked, but maybe not in Soviet Russia. Though,
yeah,
dude.
But they waited 2 to 3 weeks before they even searched. So let's say, I guess, I don't know, because they did find the prints of the
Here's
people.
my point: is it so far away? Think about how easy it is to hide information nowadays, and it's also hard at the same time. But 1959, they had to travel to investigate that. So that information coming back is exactly what they wanted that information to be.
Well, they made the whole narrative for it, I think.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
Yeah, and they sealed the case, whether it was nuclear testing or they saw Bigfoot prints and they said, "Here, cover that up."
Right.
Because we don't want to.
But they had to bring the bodies back, and that's where it gets murky. And if you don't let out all the information, if you let out just bits and pieces that are just crazy enough, then it
Mhm.
keeps people curious and doing exactly what we're doing
Right.
forever.
The other thing we didn't talk about is the Columbic winds. Is that right?
Catabolic.
Catabolic winds.
Yeah.
Which that was talked about, and also some of the if you guys can find these pictures of the bodies if you want to, but it looked like almost they were in motion when they just automatically froze and died.
Right.
Like one guy's like this,
Yeah.
like he was almost running, and that's how he died.
Like flash freeze.
Yeah, like
Right.
exactly. And then one girl's kind of like she was jumping, and one guy was like holding on to like a branch or something for dear
Right.
life, and he just, you know,
Right.
Mhm.
like something was blowing.
Right.
But the thing with the winds, I looked that up. What's that word again?
Catabolic, I think.
Catabolic. Okay.
Let's just go with it.
Okay, we'll go with that. Their winds are only, the average winds for that is 10 knots, which is about 11 to 12 miles per hour. Now in Oklahoma, that's like a normal
we've
normal
seen
day.
Cars wrapped around trees.
That's a nice breeze.
Yeah, that's a
In
nice
Oklahoma.
breeze.
Right,
We
right.
see, here in Oklahoma, we see cars wrapped around trees from F3, F4 tornadoes, F5 sometimes.
Yeah.
Just humongous,
Unbelievable
wind speed. They said very rare it could get up to 150 knots, which would be around 160 something like that. I don't know.
Right.
Miles, which that's like an F2 tornado, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's very rare.
But
Again, it doesn't
account
describe. Yeah, it
for
doesn't
the
really.
timeline either, because I think that's what was really important about not only learning about the autopsy, but also about the two guys here, the three guys there, the girls here, is that there was a timeline of these events. Like some of them lived longer than others.
Yeah.
Right. Because they had to take their clothes off. Unless they took their clothes off and just said, okay, bye guys, like good luck. And they continued to live for not very long. But so if it was like a catabolic wind or whatever the hell that thing's called, then don't you think everybody would have died all at once?
You would think so.
Yeah. And what would,
And I think they would have been,
out?
and they would have been in close proximity
You'd be like,
to
"Oh
each
my
other.
God,
Yeah,
it's
like you
so
said.
windy.
and-
Let's run out of the tent into the negative 40 degrees.
Yeah.
You'd be like, all right, let's
yeah, that'd make
down,
no
right?
sense at all. So,
Yeah.
so I mean, going back, something scared them enough to either sneak out the side, like
I
Pam was
love
saying,
that. Good job, Pamela.
or something scared them that they didn't go out, because I kept thinking, why don't they just throw the flap open and go out the front? But something was blocking, something was there
They wanted to get
that they
out
had to get out.
without
That's the only way they could get out.
something knowing that
And that the fact that they left, some of them left their boots, socks, things like that,
so terrifying.
things that they need, and some of them left barefooted, so they were terrified
Like they were willing to die to try to live,
to get away from this thing, to die that way.
Dude, that is
So,
fascinating.
It is. Let's see. I'm just looking at the
Hey,
chat here,
interesting
everybody.
about that report about the lightning too, because like whenever you would, and I hate to even bring this up, but like interrogation tactics the CIA was using that weren't probably humane. They weren't, they put strobe lights in there, played music really loud, like drive you crazy. Could it be one of those situations? Like
it could be anything.
Yeah, I know.
At this point.
But the lightning, I just think that's interesting. They said that this thing was flashing lights and it looked like lightning in the distance, but it wasn't. It was hovering there.
Yeah.
So just curious, just something.
No, that's good. No, so that's I like I said, I believe in Bigfoot, I believe in the paranormal, I believe in UFOs. But yeah, I think it was a very aggressive Bigfoot or Bigfoots.
Curious. I don't think either of you guys has seen it, but I wonder if anybody in chat has the movie called The Devil's Pass. Loosely based on, basically, is modern times a group of people go try to recreate the whole Dyatlov Pass group and investigate, trying to figure out what happened. And that's kind
bathroom
of
break for me real quick.
Kind of another potential interesting theory if you think about it, because the idea is these people go and they start putting out, stakes like, this one was found here, this one was found here, their tent was here, and it's fictionalized, but it's still a very interesting theory about that. They ended up actually finding a door in the side of the mountain that, they're finally able to break in. Once they get in there, they find something, creepy that, was created by the Russian government, probably using radiation.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
So, I mean, it's like I said, it's an entirely fictionalized account. But it's still as interesting and viable a theory as everything else we've discussed.
Well, and earlier when he was saying like, about the different colors of Bigfoots.
Mhm.
And because you brought up a good point, a lot of like the snow leopards,
Mhm. Right.
polar bears.
Right.
But what if it was like living in a cave?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be, and it came out every now and then to
Yeah.
hunt or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Well, just like, there are fish that have lived in underground lakes and streams and caverns here in the US for so long that they're actually have, initially went blind and then eventually just genetically developed to not even have eyes.
right.
They don't
Well,
use them. So,
and I want to reiterate the fact that there are millions of species that we've never even seen before.
right.
So,
And, things
yeah.
though that we say that are the same type of species, like, leopards
Right.
or lions or whatever, that depending on
Bears, oh
where
my.
you're at. Yeah, bears is
Oh
probably
my.
a prime example.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
There's grizzly bears, there's brown bears, there's black bears, there's
Yes,
polar bears, there's panda
absolutely.
bears, there's how many different kinds
Yeah,
of sun bears, how many different kinds of bears are there?
Yeah.
And they each have a unique look, probably to be able to adapt into
Right,
their
right.
environment and function
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
survive.
Yeah.
So
It's just insane.
yeah.
Yeah. So did I miss anything? Sorry about that,
We were
guys.
talking about
You're fine.
Devil's Pass. I actually wanted to see that.
Oh yeah,
Look at
and
that.
Susie Heath, Pam would like to know what is the name of that movie,
The Devil's Pass.
The Devil's Pass. Okay, which I don't
I just
even
put it in.
listen. I just The Devil's
there you
Pass. So Pam, do you have a theory that you believe, or what do you think? Remember, it's paranormal. You can be crazy.
Oh yeah, I lean toward that more than anything in this situation. I think there has to be some kind of a supernatural angle to this. I think
Yeah.
there has to be.
Yeah, and
Right.
actually, Pam
You
wanted
know.
this. She brought this up several months ago about
Yeah.
doing this, and
Mhm.
which is, well, I just forgot about it. Sorry, honey, but
You suck.
I know.
I posted about that.
But I suck well.
All right, all right.
All right.
No, anyway, so yeah, so you think it's a supernatural? Do you think it's a Bigfoot, or do you think it's something else?
I mean, I don't know. Bigfoot, it's some kind of a supernatural creature, I think, or what we would deem as a
Right.
supernatural creature, whether it's, a variation on a bear that has been irradiated, like Mona had mentioned Chernobyl earlier.
Yeah.
Radiation causes all kinds of
Right.
strange genetic mutations. Typically, we see that they're not for the better,
Right.
but, could there have been something that, a lot of mutations happen because you're adapting to your environment.
Right.
So, maybe this thing got the double XL dose of radiation while adapting to this horribly frigid, rough environment,
right.
and, became next level,
Yeah. That's
grizzly bear, polar bear, Bigfoot, whatever it is
Yeah.
that it is.
Yeah.
and these poor hikers.
Yeah.
Didn't have a chance.
Yeah.
Hey, is
Yeah.
Doug still in the chat?
Well, he brought up a good point earlier, actually. He was like, how many people have been found that have died on Mount Everest
Right.
that haven't had these kind of injuries?
Right. Exactly.
Is Doug still in the chat?
I don't know.
Because
I
he's
know.
up in Canada. I mean, well, not now, but he used to
Yeah,
live up
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Up,
Yeah.
where it's cold all the time. And I was
Yeah.
wondering do they have Bigfoot sightings up there?
Right.
You know?
Oh yeah.
Do they?
Oh
For
yeah.
sure.
They do.
Okay.
That's what Cass was saying too. She's like, it's interesting that there's like this. in
They got
every
trailer
culture.
parks up there.
Everywhere has trailer parks.
But pretty much every culture has something aligned with Bigfoot.
Right. But and not just that, but there are, Bigfoot, vampires, shapeshifters.
Right, right, right,
every
right.
culture has their own version of those kinds of
Right.
things, whether it's Eastern, Western, whatever,
Yeah.
or Aboriginal. Some things are just universal for whatever. And because they're so universal, there's got to be something to it.
Well, because isn't it interesting that like 1,000 years ago, before mass communication, way before mass communication, that these cultures would be developing these myths
Mm-hmm.
about similar things
Exactly.
without ever communicating before.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
And this has been going through my mind since we've been doing this. There are more things in heaven and earth ratio than are dreamed of in your philosophy, which is a quote from Hamlet.
Right.
And that's exactly what this
Right.
makes me
Definitely.
think of. There
Yep.
are more things out there than
Right.
we are
Well, that's what,
potentially aware of.
that's why I brought up that saying from that Indian cop. The show's
Mhm.
called Res Dogs, guys. Go watch it. It's on Hulu. It's amazing. Yeah,
I've seen that. I
Big the
bet it is
cop.
good.
Yeah, it's super good. And so,
Yeah.
but he says Bigfoot comes down when Bigfoot wants to come down in the form
Mhm.
Bigfoot wants to be in.
Mm-hmm.
So and, you know, when we have this show and we talk about these kind of things,
Mhm.
like that quote you just said from
Mhm.
Hamlet was like perfect.
Mm-hmm.
There are way more things out there.
Yeah.
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 exactly.
Igor had terrible timing. Poor guy. Taking
Yeah.
all those.
Well,
Do you think if it was a Bigfoot okay, we know that there was probably nuclear testing.
Right.
Was that what you think they're trying to hide? To keep it classified, that maybe like, oh shit, maybe we have something to do with this.
Dude, there
Or do you think that there's like, we know that it's Bigfoot, cover up, you know?
Dude.
no, or maybe they're trying to make their super soldier.
Well,
You
I
know,
know,
let's
yeah,
irradiate Bigfoot and really piss him off.
yeah, that's true.
There is a movie out there that is called The Man Who Killed Hitler and Then Bigfoot. Have you guys seen that?
No, I
Sam
know
Elliott?
about
Oh my
it.
God.
I
Yes,
gotta watch
dude.
that.
Sam
I gotta
Elliott.
watch
Sam Elliott.
that.
Hey, it is exactly.
Yeah.
No, I'm not even gonna say anymore. It's like
Yeah.
it is. That's kind of crazy.
Oh, what woman over 40 doesn't love Sam Elliott?
I mean,
Yeah.
what guy doesn't just?
I know,
like,
he's a-
unbelievable.
He's a man's man.
Yeah, he's like the Matthew
Everybody-
McConaughey of his time.
Yeah, everybody loves Sam Elliott, man.
So, but
Okay.
fascinating conversation, man. At one point early on, Mona was like, "We're gonna have to do a part 2."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's because I mean, God, there's 75 theories, which I'm interested. I mean, I would be interested to look at all 75.
Hey, one of them was hurricane.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, that was one of the 3 possibilities that the government actually agreed to investigate in 2019 was some sort of hurricane activity.
Really?
Denied.
Yeah, absolutely
And
denied.
which we were all
Denied.
like, all the Bigfoot hunters were like, wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
Denied.
wrong.
Denied.
But I mean, you would have trees snapped and like again,
Yeah.
like even if you had the wind we talked about,
We've seen it.
where
Yeah.
150 mile per hour winds would be enough to snap trees, right? So they would have saw snapped trees all over the place
Yeah,
if you would have had that kind of wind. So
yeah.
it definitely wasn't that.
Yeah.
I think
So
it would be really interesting for somebody to investigate or interview that. What's the tribe?
The Mancy.
Mancy.
Yeah,
Mancy.
that. I
Yeah,
think
that's a great idea.
I think there's where your
Ooh.
answer
Garrett,
is.
find a Mancy.
I'm on it.
Do they speak?
Get on Instagram.
What do they?
Yeah.
Do they speak Russian?
I have no idea.
Ancient.
Well, they must. I mean, they must
I
be.
love
They
it.
speak something that they can understand because they were able to communicate to
Absolutely.
the searchers that
yeah.
we tried to
Yeah.
warn them about
It's
the
super
snowman.
giant. Yeah, Russia's massive.
Mhm.
Yeah.
By the way, geography nerds, you guys know that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dude, fascinating, unbelievable. I'm so glad we finally did this.
I am too. And which is going to lead into next week's show about Bigfoot.
Yeah, I can't wait.
So Garrett, that's Garrett's favorite subject. Now, like Garrett said before, and you've heard in many episodes, he did not believe. I remember when I told him, he started laughing, going, "Yeah, like there's some Bigfoot tromping around." You know,
Dude,
hey, you know.
I remember one of our pre-interviews. I actually started laughing one time so hard I had to leave the room.
Yeah.
because we were talking about Bigfoot. You were tell me about bugs.
Yeah, we did that was back in the day when we just did a podcast. There was no
We
live.
could edit it out. I had to leave the room.
And Garrett-
where'd you go?
Didn't we have an interview or something?
You're like, no, you pull 44. Yeah, we were talking to
Yeah, and
somebody.
you left me in the room by myself, and I was like, "Get back in here!"
Man. But now because I'm going at it from such like a different angle than I could have
Mhm.
ever even thought of. Like it wasn't possible for me to even think about things like that. So
Yeah.
that's why this has been so cool, because now I can think about it without being like, okay, I'm not completely nuts.
You're a believer now.
Yeah.
What you are.
I'm a Bigfoot believer.
Okay, we went way over.
We did it.
So, but that's
all right.
okay.
We're allowed.
No, that's okay.
It's your show.
Let's go on to
You can
mid.
do
Let's
whatever
go
you
on to
want.
midnight, you guys. Go call your friends.
yeah.
Let's keep going. Let's bring up another subject.
Dude, I could just keep talking about Bigfoots and
I
aliens
gotta
all
work
night.
tomorrow.
I know.
gotta
I
work
do
tomorrow
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Love you guys.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. And remember, next week is what, Garrett?
Bigfoot man.
Bigfoot man. Good Lord. All right.